therapy poodles allowed when facing the truth. And that's just how we like it. Straight, hard-hitting, conservatarian truth. On the rocks. No chaser. No marches. No protest. Only small, limited government, constitutional conversations. Exclusively on MoJo 50. We get into foreign policy. We get into national politics. We get into constitutional, libertarian, conservative ideology. We put the brakes on the media spin by destroying the lies, dismantling the narratives, and bringing you the stone-cold hard truth. Every weekend on MoJo 50. Join me, Adrian Slade, for a raging hour-long discussion, deconstructing the headlines and delivering you the entire full story. Only on MoJo 50. Live free.
While we run train on the progressive agenda, does she know she speaks street? Didn't they get mad at Brett Kavanaugh over the whole run train thing?
They got mad at him for liking beer.
Brandon Morse, today at 1. MoJo 50.
There's a better way to meet people without having to suffer through all the crazies. Weed out all the nutty people with wethepeople.dating. That's wethepeople.dating. It's easy to find a liberty-minded match, and it takes less than a minute to create a free account and begin browsing through over 11 million monthly subscribers. Look, we all know the success of a relationship hinges on the core shared values of a couple. So check out wethepeople.dating. Sign up and start dating today. Wethepeople.dating. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of a partner.
Adjust your mojo now. Thank you. Ship has landed. Doc Thompson, Brad Staggs, the mighty MoJo 50.
So the conversation usually started with something like this. Would you walk on stage at the Super Bowl halftime show naked?
No.
Would you do it for $1,000? Would you do it for $5,000? Would you do it for $10,000? Would you do it for $25,000?
There's definitely a number.
There's a number. How much would it take you, Ron, to walk on stage at the Super Bowl halftime show on TV, buck naked, and stand there for 30 seconds? Would you do it for 50 grand?
Knowing me, probably.
You do it for 50? Wow, you're a whore.
I would go as high as the negotiation can go.
50,000. Well, no, that's it. Would you do it for 50?
Yeah, I'd do it.
Wow.
It's 50 grand, dude.
Wow. Okay.
Look,
right.
It would live on in infamy.
Would you allow? Would you perform any sexual act on stage at the halftime show at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a number, but
50,000.
That is not the
100,000.
No.
200,000.
No.
$500,000.
No. Oh no. No, there would be several million.
You wouldn't do it for $1 million. If I said you have $1 million right now, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't have to be the giver, the taker.
A what?
You could be the taker. You could be the receivee of the act. $750,000.
No.
$1 million.
No.
$1 million.
No.
You wouldn't do it for $1 million?
No.
1.5.
You're going to get to the number. There is a number. Look,
yes.
there's a number.
I want to know what your number
is. I'm not Matt Locke.
Is it $2 million? For $2 million, because I'm going to know when you're lying.
No, dude, like
you're thinking about it right now.
Yeah, $2
million. Because you could, with $2 million, you could disappear.
I could, but I'd want my family set up for life. Period.
So $3 million.
Yeah, it's probably between 3 and 5 million.
All right, so we have your number. So Ron would receive some perverted sex act.
I hate that this is on the record. I really do.
On television at the Super Bowl halftime show for somewhere between $3 and $5 million. Now you know if you ever want to buy them. When we were in Chicago, it turned to, it was the gutter water discussion. Would you drink a cup of the gutter water for,
Where did you land?
Oh, I don't think we ever got to the number because I kept wanting to throw up. Boy, that was nasty. I mean, that was awful. But there is a bet. There was a bet recently that it was a pretty amazing bet. But, well, let me give you some others first, though. Two guys bet each other that one of them could not go a year without meat. He couldn't be a vegetarian for a year, and the bet was $1 million.
He couldn't go without meat for a year.
Yeah. If Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan, they're poker players, I guess, in the high stakes poker world. The bet was that Phil Ivey could go an entire year without eating meat. If he did that, Tom Dwan would have to pay him $1 million. If he didn't make it, he'd have to pay Dwan the $1 million.
Wow.
Could you be a vegetarian for a year?
I think I could. I mean,
oh hell yes,
that's motivation right there.
I could do that.
If I have to come out of pocket $1 million if I don't do it,
that's cake. That's easy.
Easy.
I could easily do. He didn't make it.
What?
He did not make it. He went. Was it 3 weeks in?
No.
3 weeks in, and he begged to be allowed out of the bet, and it cost him $150,000. That's how these bets work. You can buy out at some point. They negotiate in the middle of it. But yeah, he made it 3 weeks without meat.
He craved meat that bad.
I don't get it either.
3 weeks in, that dude has a problem.
Another guy bet. What is his name? Ashton Griffin. The bet was that he had to run 70 miles in 24 hours, and the bet was $285,000.
70 miles in 24 hours.
Yeah, 70 miles in 24 hours. He trained for it. He was. I guess his parents were so worried about the bet that they even tried to talk him out of it. They drove from South Florida. Where were they? In Vegas, I think. And they drove from South Florida to try to convince him not to
that's actually a pretty large bet. I mean, that's a pretty large deal to run 70 miles.
70 miles in 24 hours. In 23 hours and 15 minutes, he climbed off the treadmill. $285,000 richer.
70 miles.
70 miles in 23 and change.
God.
Dan Bilzerian is a guy. If you're on Instagram, he's like the king of Instagram. Yeah. This guy, there's got to be something wrong with him. But every picture on Instagram, he's with babes and he's like on boats. And Colonel Sanders was on TV, caught my attention. He's surrounded by wealth, and it looks like he's just the ultimate playboy.
Is he ugly?
No, he's got a beard. Dan Bilzerian's his name. He's got almost 26 million followers on Instagram, so he's doing something right. The bet was he had to bicycle from Vegas to Los Angeles, and it was for $600,000. Did
he have a time limit?
Let's see here. He had to 48 in less than 48 hours with no mechanical assistance. The guy who was putting up the money was Bill Perkins. He's an American hedge fund manager and film producer from Texas. Bilzerian spent $150,000 and extensive time prepping and training for the ride. He even hired Lance Armstrong to come in and help with his training. There was an additional side bet that was placed on the ride between Bilzerian and Rick Solomon. Solomon isn't a hedge fund manager, but he's famous for his sex tape with Paris Hilton.
That's who I was about to ask if that's who that was.
There you go. That's the only thing she's famous for. So Solomon bet Bilzerian that if he didn't die during the ride or directly after the ride, Solomon would pay him $250,000. If Bilzerian did die during or right after the ride, Solomon would get Bilzerian's Gulfstream Ford jet. Last rumors we heard, Solomon is attempting to get out of the bet because of the drafting incident. So we're not sure if that one. Oh no, he did. He completed the trip in 33 hours. 33 hours. He did it.
But he was drafting behind a truck or something.
There was apparently is
that what the drafting incident?
Yeah,
is?
Apparently there was some issue whether or not he was drafting. You got that much
mechanical.
money. No, you wouldn't think so. But that's when these guys have that much money. They start, and that's why you have to up front say, okay, here, if this, then this, if this, then this.
That's when you have too much money, when you start making stupid bets like this.
Well,
then again, that's their poker, way to make money. Right? That's their poker game.
Yes. Poker players, two guys, Andrew Roble and Jay Quick. They had, and this is back in 2008, the bet was this, that Jay Quick could not live in a bathroom at the Bellagio Hotel for 30 days. In the bathroom, just the bathroom. And of
a hotel room or like a public one downstairs?
No, it was the hotel, one of the rooms, bathroom out the rooms. And it was, I guess, it was over $100,000. So,
man,
Quick moves into the bathroom. He takes an air mattress in there, a 12-inch TV, and he spent his day, they say, relaxing, watching movies, meditating. some other activities, they say, involving lotion that he details in a video on YouTube.
Wow.
Here's the thing. He chose an early buyout after, 2 weeks? 40, let's see. I think it was $40,000.
He
couldn't do it. 48 pounds. Could you lose 48 pounds in 3 months for $2 million?
Wow. Well, I don't know. The Biggest Loser contestants probably did. I don't know how long it took them to lose their weight.
The guy did it, but the other guy didn't have the money. So that pissed you off. Would you get breast implants for $100,000?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, my boobs are big enough.
Okay. Brian Zembic, and this is actually, I remember this. This is back in 1996. The bet was he would not get breast implants. Straight man, for $100,000 if he got the breast implants and kept them for a year. Zembic would pay for the surgery and he would have to pay for his own surgery and have 38C implants put underneath.
Oh, I started to say, so they were sized.
Yeah, they were sized 38C. Yeah, you could tell. And there's pictures of him out there. You think he did it? And
keep him for a year? If there's pictures of him out there, I would assume he did.
He was offered $50,000 to cancel the bet, but he went through with the bet anyway. He still has them to this day. I think he's still alive. Still alive.
Wow.
$100,000, still has boobs. He never have to live.
But he had to pay for his own surgery?
Well, it's only like $6,000.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow. I don't know. I'm not sure I'd want to do that because I'd never have to leave the house.
I started to say, dude, because there's some business going on right there.
And another one, 4 rounds of golf. Could you play 4 rounds of golf for $340,000? And here are the conditions. He had to play the rounds at Bears Best in Vegas. He had to walk all of the rounds back to back and carry his own clubs. He had to shoot a score under 100 for every round. He had to play from the back pro level tees, and the bettors, the guys putting up the money, could pick the day that he had to play. The bet was $100,000 with an additional $200,000 between him and another guy.
How many rounds?
4. They chose a day. The temperature in Vegas was 120 degrees.
Oh, did he make it?
He did.
Wow.
They actually offered to, they tried to get him to buy out, but he took home $340,000 in the end. All of that to say this, that there is and it's funny because I was going to share this story with Doc to see if he could have done it. Didn't get around to it. This bet between Rich Alati and another guy was to spend 30 days in a bathroom with nothing, the lights are out, no human contact. He gets he gets food, but the food is basically slid under a door.
Right. You're talking about solitary confinement.
Solitary for 30 days with nothing. He had a yoga mat in there. Let's say they gave him a yoga mat. There would be no radio, no TV, no phone, no access to the outside world. He'd be allowed a yoga mat, a resistance band, a massage ball, and appropriately a lavender essential oils and a sugar and salt scrub. I guess he enjoyed his sugar and salt scrub. He'd have to, if he failed in the whole endeavor, he'd have to pay the other guy $100,000. So he went into the bathroom. They consulted a psychiatrist.
So he
first.
tried this.
He, first of all, keeping somebody, and this is considered torture by the United Nations Nelson Mandela rules, say that keeping anybody in solitary for more than 15 days constitutes torture. In solitary confinement in prison, you're confined to yourself for 23 hours a day, and you get 1 hour, I think, outside. A psychiatrist says the bet risked trivializing solitary confinement. He says between anxiety, anger, and despair, with a high risk of suicide, the average clinical presentation of prisoners in solitary go through all of that. This guy was confident. He practiced meditation. He was really sure that he could do it. He walked into the bathroom at 8 o'clock the night that it began. He stood there for a little while. Then he laid down. He fell asleep. The bathroom mirrors were covered to prevent any reflection. The doors, they were unlocked. He could walk out at any time. Obviously, he'd lose the bet if he did. They were sealed to block out any light. A mattress was wedged between the sink and the countertop. In front of the sink was the yoga mat. He decided the thing he should do was to kind of have a routine, his normal routine. So he brushed his teeth, he filled up the bathtub, and this is all in the pitch black, too. He added Epsom salts and oil to calm his mind and scoured his body with the sugar and salt scrub. After the bath, he went to the shower in the corner of the room to rinse off. He headed to the sink. He used Q-tips to clean his ears, combed his hair, lotioned his body. He got dressed. He ate. He did yoga. He meditated. And remember, there's nothing else. I mean, once there, it's black, pitch black in this thing.
Yes.
He said, I remembered where everything was and everything back in its place so he'd know exactly where it was. That was his plan. He was going to live his normal life as though he was on the outside. 720 hours. That was the total number of hours that he would have to do it.
So what basically, though, Brad, he was operating as someone who's blind.
Somebody who's blind and in a world where there's no one else.
Where there's no one else.
There's
See,
nobody.
That would be the
no
hardest part.
sounds, nothing.
That would be the hardest part, not being able to socialize, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, but, yeah, how many hours?
720.
No, how many hours did he make it?
I'll tell you in a second. But first, I want to tell you about Love My Tummy. Now that I have your attention, I want to tell you about Love My Tummy and gut health. Because now they're coming out with all of these, and this was a big fascination of docs too. Because when we, to be perfectly honest, when we first got Atrantil as a sponsor, I had the bottle at home and I was like, "What? Why do I need this? What?"
Hell, I couldn't even say the word. I had to be taught the word.
Atrantil is French.
It's
Frenchy French. But here's the thing: it's about gut health. And when we had Dr. Brown in here, he was telling us that the link between your gut health and everything else, even cancer, arthritis, your mood, depression, your digestive tract, there is new evidence out that millennials are now having an issue with cancer, flare-up of cancer because of their poor gut health.
Right.
And that's what Love My Tummy is all about. If you go to lovemytummy.com, you'll see what Atrantil is all about. It's a supplement that you can take that will, it's not a probiotic, but what it does is I'm not even going to try to put it into words. I want you to go to lovemytummy.com and just take a look at it. Gut health is going to end up being one of those things that will turn out to be a whole lot more important in the end than we ever knew possible. It's going to be, I think it'll be at the root of a lot of problems that we have today. There even, at one point, I think I read that type 2 diabetes may have even had something to do with gut health. Do a little research on your own. Don't take it from me. Go to lovemytummy.com and see if that will work for you. It's lovemytummy.com. All right, so back to Rich Alati. He's in the bathroom at the Bellagio Hotel. Pitch black.
I'm assuming the Bellagio was okay with this. Either that or he just rented the room for 30 days.
Oh, yeah, they rented the room. These are high-stakes gamblers. Yeah. I'm sure that they actually probably gave them the room just for the publicity.
Yeah.
So the guy on the outside, his name is Young. His last name's Young. He starts to worry that this guy inside might make the 30 days, saying he looked totally fine. This is 10 days in, so he worried that he'd miscalculated. And think about this. When you're in solitary confinement in prison, the real mental torture is the fact you don't know when you're getting out.
I can see that.
So if you're in this of your own volition, you say, all I got to do is you set your own goal. I got to make it 720 hours. That's it.
So there was light at the end of the tunnel.
Literally light at the end of the tunnel. On day 15, Young gets, I guess they had a microphone set up so that they could talk to him. His voice came over a loudspeaker inside the bathroom. Alati jumped out of the bed. They said he was happy to hear a voice that wasn't his own. Young told the guy inside, he said that he'd been in there for around 2 weeks, that he had an offer for him. He would, that if Alati, the guy in the bathroom, would pay the guy outside the bathroom $50,000, he'd let him leave.
No.
That's what exactly. Alati just laughed. He said, "You can't be serious." He said, "Dude, I just sat in here for 2 weeks and you want me to hand over half of my money?" He laid back down. He'd spent 15 days in the bathroom. He said, "No walk in the park." He only had to do another 15 days. Then they started negotiating. He says, I didn't I didn't know, kid. Your buyout offers are trash. Alati recalls telling Young. Young offered to pay Alati $25,000 to come out. The money was finally in Alati's favor. So instead of the guy in the bathroom having to pay $50,000 out, he was going to make $25,000 if he came out. He considered the offer for an hour and then he declined. They went back and forth, I guess, for over another few days.
Did this guy have the money?
They had the money.
Yeah.
He wouldn't come out for less than $75,000. They settled at the 20-day mark for $62,400. So he spent 20 days in total isolation, with the exception of the talking to the one guy about the money, but for $62,000. And here's where it gets really weird. So he gets ready to leave the bathroom. He has to put on Eclipse sunglasses, which blocked out any light because you could damage your eyes coming back into the light. He said the noise and the commotion was overwhelming. They handed him a phone, and he looked at it for a second. All of this had to come back to him. He says, I remember that life existed with phones and technology before he even spoke into it. It was his sister. They surrounded it. He said the social interaction was culture shock. He was surprised by the number of choices he had and the social niceties that needed to be observed. I knew how to do everything. I just forgot. I can't just start doing push-ups on a bathtub in front of people. I can't just walk around not wearing underwear. He says that he's happy that it was only 60. The other guy says he was happy with $62,000, even though he lost the bet. But it's fascinating what happens to you. If you don't have human contact for that long, if you are in pitch black, I mean, you think that's. He says he started hallucinating.
I started to say, Brad, I think I would lose my mind.
But isn't that, if you're just being alone with nothing around you, isn't that weird? What does that tell you about people?
Well, what is that called? Sensory deprivation. Deprivation,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's what they did in alternate states.
So you have to relearn it. I mean, that's the thing. It's golly.
Yeah, it was, but he made $62,000. He said in the end he said it was worth it, but it was more of a challenge than I think he thought it would be.
But why did the other guy get freaked out? That's what I don't understand. Because he didn't want to pay the $100,000.
Well,
because he thought he was going to make it.
Yeah, I mean that's just
he had to limit his losses.
Yes. So at that point he thought, well, this guy's going to make it. I'm going to see if I can negotiate a lower number, and that's what big bettors do. So next time somebody bets you on something, you just think the whole thing through. I said I'm not sure I could spend 30 days in a. Although I do enjoy being alone.
I couldn't spend 5 hours in there. I don't know if I could meditate and knew how to do that.
We'll see.
I don't know. Wow.
All right. Get your tweets in, your comments in. Use the hashtag what I learned today. As always, over on the Twitter, I could go for a year without meat for $1 million. That to me, that was an easy bet. 50,000, and this is ELS Jack hold down. 50,000 naked on stage, Super Bowl halftime. She said the cartel Matt would do it for way less, but Ransom Izzo would do it for free.
But the cartel Matt wouldn't do it. Matt, we've had this conversation.
He wouldn't do it?
No, he might stand on a stage naked because Matt probably didn't give a damn. But I'm talking about the sexual thing you went through.
Yes. Step up to the.
Matt's like there is
give her the taker.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a number. $10 million.
That's what I kept telling him.
If we tossed $10 million.
Matt says there's not a number.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's full of crap. That's what I think.
On that one,
we need to let him get in here and defend himself because it's funny as hell.
We'll ask. Borked by Kavanaugh says 720 hours with no human contact sounds like heaven. I could. I think that would be interesting.
That kind of depends on what the situation is currently.
Let's see here. You're boy in your girl sleeve, but Real Brad Staggs, we already know that gut health is important in the end. Hey-o. I see what you did there. He used Q-tips. What a moron. You're not supposed to stick anything in your ear. Thank you, whatchamacallit. You're absolutely right. And Stinky, the worst part, no light. You wouldn't be able to tell what time it was, how many days it had been. And that's what they didn't want him to be able to do, is be able to have some sort of time track so he wouldn't have the goal.
Yeah.
And that's how they got to him. All right, so coming up, we're going to, Doc has been getting mail. So we're going to open the mail and see
In a
what
new
kind
segment we call
Opening Doc's Mail. Because we'll be opening Doc's Mail. Dan Andros is going to join us here in a few minutes to talk about that abortion bill, both of them, the one in New York and the one that did not pass in Virginia. And I want to share something with you here really quickly. I just have to find it. I'll after we take maybe I have time. Where did it go?
Yeah.
I got a second. Oh, I know what I'll tell you first. I talked with Skip yesterday, and we are still finalizing and working on the plans to stream the Celebration of Life and the, I guess.
Quite honestly, Beth and I talked last night. I don't think there's going to be a problem.
Oh, good.
So we're crossing our fingers. We're going to take one of our digital cameras.
I talked to Father Mulcahy. Well, you might want to reach out to Skip so that we're not duplicating our efforts.
Well, we'll take it just in case, even if it's a backup.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're the only issue would be, of course, the Wi-Fi, but we are giving it our best shot. So, and again, if you are up in that area and you have a restaurant or a catering company, we really don't know how many people are going to show up. It could be 25, it could be 2,000. No idea. It's not cheap to get up to that part of the country right now. I'll tell you that.
That is a damn fact.
Especially, the guy didn't have the courtesy to give us a little more lead time on a funeral. Jeez, talk about rude.
Can't you let us plan?
Me. All right, so coming up next, Dan Andros, and we'll get to more of your comments and opening Doc's Mail. So many things planned for this morning. This is Doc Thompson's Daily Mojo.
What's a mojo? What's a mojo? $20, same as downtown. MoJo 50.
Mike. I'm Michael Pelka from PureOpelka.com. Here's your 2-minute drill. Taxes. Taxes, taxes, taxes. Taxes are on everybody's mind as we get ready to pay our annual tribute, I'm using air quotes, to the federal government, and in some cases the state and city governments in the form of income taxes. But lawmakers in several parts of the country are focusing on how they can get more money out of your wallet, and it's making me sick. In California and other states, they're looking at taxing how many miles you drive because they're not getting enough from the gasoline tax they charge you on every gallon. And in Georgia is looking at taxing downloads from Netflix. Every time you watch a show from Netflix, the state of Georgia is looking at taking a few pennies off of that. It may not seem like much, but eventually it adds up. And Oklahoma's making me crazy. Why has Oklahoma ticked me off? Well, the state is now considering adding a surcharge to every Uber and Lyft ride in order to fund programs to stop DUI. Well, driving under the influence is the exact reason why some people use Uber and Lyft. So you're putting a tax on a service that is there already trying to stop the problem. This is government just going in where it doesn't need to go and taxing us to death. Death by 1,000 taxes. I'm tired of it. Testudo, my friends. Testudo.
Mike Opalka's 2-minute drill is powered by MoJoWildRice.com. Their wild rice is a superfood, gluten, sodium, fat, and cholesterol-free, yet high in fiber, protein, zinc, phosphorus, and trace minerals. But you're going to love it because it's delicious. MoJoWildRice.com. MoJoWildRice.com.
The Daily Mojo.
All right, get those, your tweets, all your messages. We've got a couple of emails to read. Let's see if this thing works as well. I'm going to give this a shot and keep your fingers crossed. And
good morning, my fellow Mojovians. I hope everybody's having an excellent Tuesday.
That's Leprechaun over in the MeWe chat room.
I love his voice.
That's love great. His voice. That is such a great voice. Did you see the guy over on Fox? Who was it? Pete Hegseth. He says that I guess everybody got all up in an uproar because he said he didn't wash his hands. Said he hadn't washed his hands in like 10 years.
What?
He says, I think he probably was exaggerating there, but it got me thinking, do you wash your hands every time you go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Even if you just have to pee?
Even if it's just me, yes.
Even if it's just you?
Yes.
What are you touching in there that would have germs on your hands that would make you wash them?
The toilet seat.
Well, if you're peeing, you're not. What are you touching the toilet seat for? Especially if you're in the bathroom.
Because I live in a house with a woman.
Well, what?
The toilet seat's
She's
always
not,
down.
You mean she's not polite enough to put the seat up after she's done?
No.
Wow.
Because I'm supposed to be polite enough to put the damn seat down.
Well, like here, if you're in a public bathroom where there's, urinal, do you wash your hands after you stand at the urinal?
Yes, I do, because it's habit. Not because I'm touching my junk.
Well, see, and that's
my junk is my junk.
It's the old joke, hey, where I come from, we wash our hands after we pee. And the response, of course, where I come from, we don't pee on our hands.
That is a fact.
But maybe you want to find out which, you rub your nose, you touch your mouth, you do all these things. Which has more germs? Your butt or your mouth?
Probably your mouth.
Yep.
Yeah.
More bacteria and more germs than the other end.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
And I have a couple of friends that say that they never wash their hands when they after they use the bathroom.
I think a lot of it has to do with
has to do with what?
With you touching your junk and then touching somebody else.
Are you freaked out by touching the doorknob when you walk out of the bathroom?
I don't touch the doorknob.
I don't either. I did that. I touch nothing in the bathroom.
I'll either use the napkin or my shirt sleeve or something like that.
The best ones are the doors that have little foot cups on them. I just saw those for the first time a couple of years ago. I was like, that is genius. Why has no one come up with this before?
I saw one with 2 handles on the inside. And it had a little sign that said, washed hands, didn't wash hands.
Pretty telling.
I still grabbed it with my shirt.
Mm-hmm. I'll bet you did.
Oh.
I'll bet you did. Is Dan not
yet?
Not yet. See, and here's the situation. We're always, everything's in Eastern time. So it's like, okay, does he think it's 8:30 Eastern or is it 7:30 Eastern? It is Central time right now here. It is about 7:34. So that would be 8:34 Eastern time. So in any event, we'll.
What time was he supposed to call in Eastern time?
I thought it was 8:30 Eastern, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
In the meantime, however, going way back to the time machine to the time of yesteryear here, let's go back to WMAL, and this is when Doc was on WMAL, and let me just say that he was mischievous is a good word.
How old was he then, do you think?
There was not a date on this clip, so I'm going to say it was early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. So
yeah, probably
14 years ago, early mid 30s.
Yeah.
And let me just say that he is
ABC
in rare Doc form.
Now, Sunday afternoon with Doc Thompson on 630 WMAL.
Welcome aboard. Here's the numbers you need. 202-432-WMAL, 866-630-WMAL, or pound 630 on your singular wireless. Going to talk to a guest right off. Now, I don't know if you know much about advertising, but the world of advertising, as of recently, has been inundated with possible places to advertise. Radio, television, you've got all the cable channels. There are far more newspapers and magazines than there were 20 years ago. So everybody is straining to get the same amount of money they used to, even though advertisers only have a finite amount of money to spread out to all of these places. Frequently, we talk about new technology on the show, and today is no exception. There's a new technology out called Radio On, and we're going to talk with Dave Strobridge. Dave, welcome aboard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Radio On technology was developed by your company. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, Doc. Basically what it is it's a technology that will allow a broadcaster or a government agency or a business to randomly be able to turn on a person's radio from like wherever they are located. So their message will actually reach the listener just even when the radio isn't on. They can kind of like turn on the radio and get their message across or whatever they want the listener to hear.
So you have the ability, a broadcaster or a government agency, to just turn people's radio randomly. You can just randomly turn on. What would this be used for?
Well, basically, it has two main applications right now, is what we're aiming for. Basically, the first one is the most important, and that is to save lives. Like if there is, like, say, tornado warnings or inclement weather during hurricanes, or even like an Amber Alert type purpose, for example, the broadcaster or marketer could actually make sure that the listener gets that information and saves their lives. Also, the second application would be for marketing purposes. Radio stations, for example, could increase the number of listeners that hear certain advertisements.
Wow.
And that can help the station guarantee to its clients the number of listeners that hear the actual advertisement.
That would be very attractive to our advertisers here on WAMAL, where we could go to them and say, I can flip a switch and guarantee that your commercial would come on, right? That radios would go on and more people would hear your commercial, right?
Exactly.
I could, when I come on the air, flip the switch and make sure all the radios go on.
Yes. You could actually guarantee that they're hearing us right now, if that's what you wanted to do.
How does the technology work?
Well, basically, it's just
Is it a radio wave?
Yeah, it's basically through like radio waves is what we've got a chip that we're working with, and it will actually in your radio right now, whatever separates the signal, we're working on that chip, and it will actually pick up something if we send it out via the airwaves.
So it'll be like a cell phone. It'll always receive, and when you tell it to go on, it goes on.
Correct. Yes.
What about people who would just unplug their radio?
Well, we're working on that part of it actually right now. We have a system that is in place that if the radio is like unplugged or for any type of reason, or like if the power goes out, that they will not it'll go into like what we call like a dormant state actually.
Okay.
And they would have to then like take it someplace to one of the manufacturers or someplace like that, and actually pay a fee to have the radio reset, so they would actually be able to use the radio again.
So it's revenue generating for the manufacturer as well.
Correct.
And when do you see this technology coming about?
Well, we're aiming right now to start like manufacturing these things in the spring, but there is some like legislation that we're trying to work with through certain companies and the government. We're working with them as well. So
I am excited about this. I think this is a huge step in the right direction for radio. Could you do something like this for television too?
Yes, we're looking into that as well right now. We've got it pretty much working with radio right now, and now with the digital technology for television, it's even going to be even greater.
Well, I am excited about this. This is great for a broadcaster to be able to guarantee that I can turn people's radios on. Would I be able to turn stations, or how would you work it with stations?
Well, it would basically work like they have in Europe. Right now in Europe, they have a system that if you're driving down the road and you're listening to your radio, they can actually interrupt the broadcast and give you like traffic information. It would kind of work along the same lines like that. So you would still be listening to your station, and then it wouldn't change your radio station. It would just like cut in if needed. Or, if you didn't have it on, like I said earlier, it would just turn it on.
202-432-WMAL, 866-630-WMAL if you want to talk to Dave Strobridge regarding radio on technology. I think this is a tremendous thing. People can be at home, and when I think there's information they need to hear, I can turn it on, and I'm going to guarantee that people are hearing it. What about when your radio is already on? It wouldn't affect that, right?
No, it would just no, it wouldn't affect that. It would kind of like it wouldn't. let me start over. It wouldn't affect it as far as changing the station or anything like that. But they could pipe in actual broadcast. They could actually interrupt the broadcast if needed to get the information to you that you need.
Dave, hang on a second. Take a couple calls. Bill, welcome to WMAL. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. I'm really happy that something like this has come up for the broadcasters. But is this? I came in late in the conversation. Is this the inventor of this thing on the phone with you?
What's that?
Is this guy the inventor of the item?
He's the marketing director for the company that's going to manufacture it.
Are you even remotely aware of the 50 million people that have signed on to the Do Not Call list, and what the public reaction is going to be when advertisers automatically turn on their radios and slam this stuff down our throats?
Bill, would you be upset by that?
Oh, no, not a lot. Of course I would be. That's
What
terrible.
well, Bill, wait a minute. What about if we said, okay, we're not going to use it for advertising purposes, but we just did it for political messages, or if it was like a charitable event?
I wouldn't want it at all. One exception. The government comes on to give a national warning or a weather warning or an Amber Alert. I have no problem with that. But anything having to do with marketing or political, anything, you don't go around turning people's radios on without their permission.
All right, Bill, well, thanks for the call. Dave, welcome to 630 WMAL. How are you?
Hi, I'm the former caller just really said exactly the same thing that I feel. I can't believe this because we're finally getting rid of the telemarketers interrupting our lives and destroying our lives on something on a telephone we pay for. Now we pay for a radio that we have somebody coming on and giving us stuff when we don't want it. I'd throw the radio away and never ever listen again.
All right,
I
Dave.
do the same thing that I've already done to broadcast television. Broadcast television never enters my house anymore.
All right, Dave, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it. Wow, I didn't believe there's many people be upset by it. You got another call there? Hi there, Rick. Rick, welcome to 630 WMAL.
Yes, and I happen to agree with that person. Maybe not to that extent. I'd take it out on whoever that advertiser was. Frankly, unless they're the only one in the world who made that particular product, maybe if they're the only ones who made a car, I'd have to buy that car. But if anyone else made a car, no way, Jack, would they ever get my business.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the call, Dave. So Rick, Bill, and Dave all down for knows this is a bad idea. Rick, Bill, Dave, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I've been scamming you. Dave Strobridge is actually an intern of mine. Thank you, Dave, for participating in this little experiment. Gentlemen, you are not alone. Most Americans, in fact, 92% of Americans, are outraged by telemarketing. And Rick, you hit it right on the head. Over 50 million Americans have signed up for telemarketing, or the do not call list to anti-telemarketing. Why this, when you're talking 92% of Americans are outraged by telemarketing calls, why we have to go through a do not call list, why there are exemptions for political ads and certain advertisers, as well as charitable organizations, I have no idea.
That is classic Doc Thompson right there. That was brilliant. Do you know that he got me, because halfway through it, I'm like, okay, I'm looking up Dave Strobridge. I'm looking at Radio On Technology. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? But that sounds, so you can turn it. I searched for 10 minutes, and I listened to the rest of the clip. I was like, you son of a... Oh, that is classic Doc Thompson.
Well, that's classic radio, because they used to do those kind of things all the time, and I remember that.
He would, and that's what he would do. He'd sit around and think of these, but they always had a point.
Yeah.
It was brilliant comedy with a point. And did you ever hear the doggy abortion?
No.
Oh, doggy! I'll have to find that somewhere.
Doggy abortion.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Well, you get some people riled up doing that kind
and
of
it was stunning. We had, I think it was Brian Sack call in, and he was the doggy abortionist, and it was if your dog got pregnant, you get a doggy abortion. It was just genius. He
had those guys. He had those. Hell no.
The fact that he got me too, and I knew that. I mean, we'll find. And believe there's a box of these things. I mean, we have hours and hours and hours of classic Doc
What's funny is there's
Thompson.
probably technology out there, Brad, that does that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is now. But yes.
I mean, look, you get it now. If you've got an iPhone and you've got your Amber Alert turned on, it's going to interrupt everything you're doing with this loud, obnoxious horn.
Exactly. Kelly's over in the Facebook chat room. Hi, Dakota. Brad Staggs is watching, too. You know there's another Brad Staggs out there, right?
No.
Yeah. He lives in Indiana, and he is a...
we went to that website one day.
He does radio. Yeah. He does television. He and I would always get messages from people thinking that they were getting the other one of us.
Oh, yeah.
And so we ended up becoming friends, and he writes, there's actually a web series that he did. I can't remember the name.
I think when I was looking for headshots for you when we first got started, he was the one that popped up.
I'm much better looking than he is. I'm much better looking and much, much younger.
There's another Ron Phillips out. He's a preacher.
Is he?
That is definitely not me.
That is not you. Oh, and Wayne Ostrander's watching too. Thank you. And thanks to
morning,
everybody
Wayne.
over there.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right, Erica. Gold, Jerry. It's gold. And we'll continue to play those. That is just, that's who Doc was. It is, I mean, that's the real shame. And by the way, I only cried once yesterday.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah,
good
it's
for
getting
you.
there. But it was over something stupid again. It was one of those, I need to tell Doc about,
Yeah.
So we got a message yesterday from Una and from Doc's sister Annette. I'll read it to you first. It just says, Mike will be buried with his jumping socks. And of course, the first thing I always say is, who's Mike?
Exactly. Nobody knew him as Mike.
Una,
he was our buddy Doc.
Yeah, Una called him Mike. His family called him Mike because I think it'd be weird if they called him Doc. But she sent along a picture of socks. Just blue socks, and she said that these have been sitting in my passenger seat because Mike always liked to take Cubby jumping. They go to the trampoline.
I started to say, is that trampoline or what?
They go to the trampoline.
And that's really cool.
Mike will not be wearing shoes. He didn't like shoes. He will be in his favorite jumping socks.
So many of you probably could see in the videos every day.
We're
sitting where Brad is. If we have the wide shot, Doc would never wear shoes. Not around here. Only time he put shoes on was to go jogging. Seriously.
Damn it! We should have misplaced his shoes that day.
We could have. Could have
saved me a lot of work.
Yeah.
I could have not been doing half of this stuff.
The dude wore his Sunday socks every day, though.
Jumping socks. Yeah, Patty says jumping socks. They would go to the trampoline park and jump around on the trampolines. He loved doing that.
Did you catch that?
What?
He wore his Sunday socks every day.
Yes, he did. He had
those were some holy ass socks.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Well, that's what happens when you walk around in your socks
all the time.
You're going to get holes in them eventually. All the ways we deal with grief. Weird. And we'll have more classic Doc bits coming up here as the day and the weeks go by. Just a matter of time. MoJo Wild Rice, however, you know, he loved his MoJo Wild Rice. While he was wearing his socks, he would eat MoJo Wild Rice.
A lot of times he would make it for breakfast.
He would.
Here. I mean, he would go in and he would microwave his eggs, toss them in a bowl of the...
It's not a euphemism either.
That is a fact.
Yeah. No, he would sit there and eat the... He would always look at me. He would say, Brad, you know that you could have MoJo Wild Rice and you could have it savory. You could have it sweet. And I'd say, no, Doc, you could. He'd say, yeah, you know, if you go to MoJoWildRice.com, and I'd say, wait a second, what was that website again? And he'd say MoJoWildRice.com. And I'd say, well, why don't they just go to Nostalgia? Right? And he said, well, do you know how to spell it? I said, no. He says, that's why they go to MoJoWildRice.com. And that's why they can find all these.
It'll take you right there.
It really will. And you can learn all about the long grain that is wild rice. Did you know, as a matter of fact, let me throw something at you here. Did you know they called it Manuman? Did you know they called it the good seed? Early Native Americans, people. Manuman. Mm-hmm. Or Riz Sauvage, I believe that's French. Or maybe Folies Avouin. I think that's French. Sounds French. The first Europeans used
to call it. It sounds French when you say it.
Yes, Folies Avouin. You can go to foliesavouin.com and get your MoJo Wild Rice, or you can just go to MoJoWildRice.com. Apparently, it goes back a long, long time. Now, that original rice no longer exists because people have eaten it, but they're growing more every day, and that's the good news.
So let me tell you a short story about MoJo Wild Rice. So
you can tell a short story? It's not like the posts you write, is it?
So many words.
Look,
it was heartfelt, brother.
Okay, the floor is yours.
So we, what was it we were doing? Oh, we were doing the Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You remember we had a lot of MoJo Wild Rice that day because Chef Patrick, made it savory. He made it sweet, but he came to my house the day before on the Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And, we weren't doing a Thanksgiving on that specific day, so we had moved it out. But he came by, and the guy brought like 20 pounds of this rice. And for a couple of hours on the stove, he was cooking it in big old gigantic, the big
big pots.
Pots. I mean, colander. You know what I'm talking about.
The big things. The big things.
Big ones. And of course, you know, it didn't look like very much when he first put the water in there, but it starts soaking up. And then you have these big pots full of this rice. Dude, we had rice here for like 2 weeks after that.
Yeah,
because he had it in big buckets.
I think once you cook it, if you freeze it, it can be like 6 months in the freezer. If it's just in the fridge, it can be.
God, we'd go in there at lunch and just snatch a bunch out of the bucket.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. MoJoWildRice.com. Buy some today, or you'll disappoint Doc. Just saying. It'll be
You're
on
going to
you.
use that, aren't you?
I certainly am. And that's what I did.
Doc.
That's yesterday when we tweeted out the store discount, the MoJo50.com store discount, 10% off site-wide. And it's all in Doc's honor. And
the triple Ds will come out.
I'm sorry?
The triple Ds. Don't disappoint Doc.
Oh, right. Yes. Oh, I thought you were referring to something else there. Whew. Did you know something I didn't know? It's at MoJo50.com. Everything 10% off. You don't need a code or anything like that. Houston apparently is a pretty expensive place to buy pizza. Speaking of food, a family down there was charged $1,600 for a Domino's pizza. Should have been less than $20.
Probably 16.
Yeah, exactly. 1,600. Well, here's the thing, though. Domino's.
How did they let that get through? That's what I want to know.
Well, they looked into the complaint after that family and possibly others were charged thousands of dollars for otherwise standard pizza orders. Not a bad way to make some money, is it?
Exactly.
Why not charge them $1,600 for a pizza? The pizza chain said the wrong payment amounts were charged Friday due to an error. You think? The company said it's working on its payment vendor to fix the issue and correct any affected transactions.
They probably assumed the decimal. That's the thing. Well, they put 1600 in, thinking that was $16, and then assume the decimal.
What do you?
But you're a dumbass.
What do you get? What do you want for $8 an hour?
Okay.
All
right. Enough.
You know what I'm saying. Apparently, they did this back in 2014 when in Wales, I think that's in England, a man was charged $307,891 for an order that should have been $30.
Whoa.
They said the incident, how would you even, that wouldn't even go on your credit card. I mean, your credit card company
90% of people use their debit cards, right?
Yeah, that would decline it immediately.
Immediately.
I wouldn't think that would happen.
With a response that says, yeah, no.
Yeah. At least it wasn't hot and ready, which, by the way, we're still working on getting some hot and readies up there to the service, too.
That would be great. Have some hot and ready.
And I decided there has to be a picture of Cal's going to be there, Skip's going to be there, so all the sister wives.
Yes.
So we'll have a picture taken and framed and put on the mantle here.
That's going to be a fantastic picture.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Maybe we'll do it shirtless.
How much money would it take?
You start sending in the offers and you never know what could happen. I can be bought, just saying. Raquel on Facebook says she bought her Daily Mojo t-shirt for the hashtag Better Yourself Challenge. Well, I'm not sure wearing the shirt's going to make you any better. As a matter of fact, people may laugh at you, but at least you spent money, and that's good. Patty Armstrong sounds good with eggs. Actually, Doc, thanks, Doc, going to try it. That's right.
Oh, it's fantastic with eggs. Scramble the eggs, mix it all together. And I think Doc would throw a lot of salsa.
And eat the damn thing in like 20 seconds. He'd have a whole bowl of it.
Come on.
And
I've never seen anyone eat as fast as Doc. We would sit down at the table.
And he wasn't fat.
He wasn't fat.
He was worried about a little extra, but, the guy was almost 100 years old, so.
No, I wish my metabolism at that age was still going strong, but
that picture I tweeted out of him this morning?
Yes.
The one
with the beeper.
If you haven't seen that, check Twitter. It's also on the Instagram. I think we put it on Facebook, too.
Although that was the rage back in the day.
Yeah, it was. We actually had that discussion one day, he and I, about beepers and cell phones and flip phones and the old technology.
Yeah.
And
you know what I used my beeper for? I wore one, didn't need it. But you know what I used it for? To text the equivalent of I love you in numbers to my girlfriend.
And you could spell Shell Oil. If you turned it upside down, it said Shell Oil. That was always handy, too.
Or hello. Or boobies.
Yeah. Or you could say boobies. I mean, there were so many things. I miss pagers now, suddenly. I missed them. I guess doctors still wear them, don't they?
I don't know. Well, I mean, maybe they do for communication in the hospital.
What the pager companies do? They just all went out of business with the wagon wheel companies, or did they move over to cell phones? Yes, they did.
That's a good question.
Debbie said, Brad, just ride the waves. There are a couple of interpretations there. I'm going to go with the one talking about emotions.
That's probably your best.
Just to err on the safe side to avoid the lawsuit. And Tom Tro says, good morning from Vegas.
Tom,
if you don't sell something out there, don't bother coming home.
Tom is at the visit the vape conference.
Yes, he said you guys.
We both have our vape. Excuse me. Yeah. So Tom's out there. He said there's more juice out there.
He was talking about vape juice, right? Just checking. But I've gone through more vape juice.
That's what Brad and I were talking about.
The battery on this thing is starting to heat up. I can't imagine.
It's probably not a nice habit. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be smoking cigarettes per se, but but vaping it's just one of those things right now. I don't know how to tell you. It's an emotional go-to for me right now.
It's my little friend. It's my little friend. I just need to stand outside and.
It's my little friend.
I think I may need to borrow some of your juice there, Ron.
Yeah, our business meetings always got a little foggy.
Yeah, a little bit. But this may or may, since I'm on the record, this may or may not help me or somebody I know stop smoking.
That's a fact.
Since I'm on the record here.
Yeah.
I mean, it could probably a friend, but I mean, you never know.
That's right.
Could have been. Let's see here. Your tweets are still coming in. Sorry, I got lost down memory lane there. All you guys need to take a picture together, sign them, and sell them. Give the money to Doc's family. Hell no, we're not giving it to Doc's family. If we take pictures, we are keeping that money.
Let's talk about selling stuff. We do have some exciting news coming up in the near future.
Yes, we do. A lot of things planned and some interesting.
You're going to want to listen, and you're going to want to be a part of this. Trust me.
At least that's what we're going to tell you just to make you stick
around.
No,
I'm telling you, this is spectacular.
Yeah. True radio tease. You don't want to miss what's coming up next hour. You could win $1 million. You could.
That's right. Come back.
Not from us, but you could win $1 million somewhere. We're going to remember we lost another family member, and I hadn't mentioned it yet. We're going to talk about that in a second. And your headlines are all coming up right here on Doc Thompson's Daily Mojo.
This is the seditious, rabble-rousing, liberty-loving, home of fun, entertaining, and compelling talk. Mojo 50.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Congressional negotiators say they've cobbled together a tentative deal on border security, but we don't know if it will pass muster with the White House. Apparently, the deal contains much less money than President Trump had been seeking. Last evening, the president made the case yet again for a border wall, held a rally in El Paso, Texas.
The president told thousands of cheering supporters that building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border will make America safer.
Walls save lives. Walls save tremendous numbers of lives.
He accused Democrats of supporting open borders and criticized their demands to limit immigrant detentions by federal authorities. On the tentative border security deal reached by lawmakers, the president said, "We probably have some good news, but who knows?" Greg Clugston, Washington.
And the president taking note of a nearby competing rally held by former El Paso Democratic Congressman Beto O'Rourke.
He challenged us. So we have, let's say, 35,000 people tonight, and he has 200 people, 300 people, not too good.
O'Rourke contends a wall would actually make Americans less safe. His backers would like to see him join the growing number of Democratic presidential hopefuls. Day 2 of the Denver teachers' strike. Among those manning a picket line, teacher Kimberly Beckman.
This has been going on forever. 15 months they've been bargaining. This is an extension on it, and it's just, we're here. I didn't think it would happen. I don't want it to happen, but we're here.
It is primarily a pay dispute, and more talks have been planned for later today. Global stocks rose Tuesday. Investors looking ahead to U.S.-Chinese trade talks and futures pointing to opening gains on Wall Street this morning. Right now, Dow futures are up about 197 points, S&P futures 20 points higher, and NASDAQ futures up 60 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey guys, Ron Phillips with the Conservative Cartel. Are you tired of the bar scene, hoping to find the love of your life? Well, there is a better way for you single guys and ladies out there. Check out wethepeople.dating. They make it easy to find a liberty-minded match, and it takes less than a minute to create a free account and begin browsing through over 11 million monthly subscribers. Look, we all know the success of a relationship hinges on the core shared values of a couple. So check out wethepeople.dating for the love of people and people of love. Sign up and start dating today. Wethepeople.dating. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of a partner.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. Over the past few decades, it's been argued that a candidate's private life is less important than whatever qualifications politically he might possess. This argument is a complete and unhealthy reversal from previous generations. As founding father Samuel Adams explained, he who is void of virtuous attachments in private life is, or very soon will be, void of all regard for his country. There is seldom an instance of a man guilty of betraying his country who had not before lost moral obligations in his private life. Private and public vices are connected, and nothing is more essential than that all persons in places of power and trust be of exceptional character. Therefore, as you vote in the upcoming elections, remember that the private vices of any candidate will absolutely influence public policy.
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact Wall Builders at 1-800-8REBUILD.
Having an extra supply of food on hand is just smart. Some people call it prepping. I call it smart. You never know what's going to happen in this world. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. You'll find out a lot of good reasons to have that food and some great prices. mypatriotsupply.com.
Well, let's talk about the Golden Globes. Christian Bale said Satan inspired him playing Dick Cheney. Did Satan also inspire him to assault his wife, his sister, and his mother? Did Satan also inspire that? Just asking.
Brandon Morse, today at 1. MoJo 50. Rebel rousers, instigators, troublemakers, freaks, agitators, fanatics, scallywags, mutants, scamps, firebrands, rogues, scoundrels, MoJo sexuals. MoJo 50.
The mothership has landed.
We are most definitely a family, and there's nothing... Unfortunately, there's nothing that death will do. One of two things. It'll either bring a family closer, or they will fight like cats and dogs over the crap that's left behind.
That, that's no doubt. I've seen that happen.
It brings out the
over
worst
the
and the best,
smallest things,
the dumbest shit that we have, and it's
everybody
all just stuff.
Everybody, especially if there's a lot of siblings.
Yes,
they'll all fight over their inheritance. Quote.
I've seen that happen more times. In my adult life, it's
miserable.
It really is miserable, and the fact that the Jackhole Nation has pulled together. There's only been one jackass troll out there that I saw making some really nasty comments, but I think I know who that is. Yeah,
that's what Beth told me.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "I said,
I figured out
no way." Yeah. She said, "Yeah." She said, "We kind of researched it."
Yeah. So, and you just do a little research, you'll figure it out yourself too. But
that's interesting.
I wanted, first of all, thank you for all of the messages and all of the emails, and I don't even know what to say. It's just been absolutely phenomenal, the people who've reached out. And we are a family. They were like, sorry to intrude. I said, you're not intruding. Thank you. And I wanted to say that we lost another member of the family because Donna, and I will say this, I knew her only as Donna M.I. I'm assuming that's Michigan. That's the only, and I've always remembered her because of the picture.
What's the Twitter handle? Donna _ M.I.?
No, it's at DMR _ M.I.
DMR _ M.I.
Mm-hmm.
DMR initials, probably.
Yeah. And Donna has been a listener and from way back. I mean, goes back years. And I would always see her tweets over at the other place. And I don't know what the circumstances were surrounding her illness. I just know that I think it was Saturday that she passed away. And I saw a tweet from her husband. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because this is a family. And sometimes it's like, the day that
Doc needed somebody up there to listen to his effing jokes.
Remember when Michael Jackson died?
Yeah.
You know, Farrah Fawcett died the same
day. Yeah.
And I mean,
nobody remembered that. Nobody knew it. That's right.
So I just wanted to make sure that each person, every member of our family, every member of the Jack Hole Nation is just as important as anybody. We're all equally important, as I guess what I'm trying to say. And we all matter, and we all have to stick together because the Jack Hole Nation is a family. Funeral arrangements, of course, for Doc happening this Thursday and Friday. The details are on our Facebook page. Visitations Thursday. The service, the celebration of life, is going to be Friday morning. Remember the rules. Just 2 rules. No pictures of Una and the kids. And that includes Tiger as well. Mm-hmm. Just out of respect for the family. And that's what.
And the word train.
And trains. We are not. So if you are speaking, if you end up speaking at the celebration of life, this is, Cubby doesn't know that it's train. So we're not saying the word train. So it can be any other word. It can be marshmallow. It can be big government. I don't care what it is. Just can't say the word train. Like I said, if the word tra comes out of your mouth, it's going to be like the guy grabbing that laser can from Doc's hands out in Vegas.
Marshmallow, Brad.
It could be marshmallow.
Why?
So whatever it is.
Why do we want to turn the kid off on marshmallows?
We're not turning him off. It's just not a train. By the way, I'm going to more details to come on this, but it's a rental casket.
Yes.
I
had a laugh about that last night.
We'll tell that story later. But right now, let's do headlines, shall we?
We've scoured news platforms and agencies around the globe for today's most profound news headlines. Presenting them now, here's Brad Staggs.
And Jack Holes, this portion of your profound headlines brought to you by Riduzone. If you're ready to lose some weight, Riduzone might be your secret weapon. Next week for me, back on it. Count up to the government shutdown. We're at a T-3, but they say they're making progress. We'll see. Leading the headlines, a man in England has been jailed for 6 years for having sex with a corpse. Oh. I'll just let that one rest there for just a second. Qasim Karam forced his way into a funeral home before violating a dead body last year. Court heard how he lifted the lids of several coffins before selecting his victim. He then removed the body took off said clothes, and interfered with her. In the words of the court. Wow.
What has to be going through your mind to go, hey?
I do
what in
not.
The hell?
He previously
women must have treated him like a.
I don't know. He pleaded guilty to charges of penetration and burglary.
What's that called?
In December. It's necrophilia.
Necrophilia.
I mean, that's what I've heard.
Yes.
You know what? At least he wasn't in defeat. At least he wasn't a sick freak.
She couldn't go, oh, look at that.
Freak. Perhaps we should just move on. A wildlife center in Oregon will name a salmon for your ex and feed it to a bear. I like this one.
Sure you do.
They are offering a fresh twist on Valentine's Day. They say they allow you to name a salmon after one of your exes and have it fed to a bear. The Wildlife Images Rehabilitation Center in Oregon said the catch and release promotion offers a unique Valentine's Day gift in exchange for a $20 donation.
They will make $1 million.
I will. They'll make.
You're already on the site
$1,000
right now,
off of me. They will make so
Put the
much
name.
money.
Yep.
Can you write it a bunch of times on the fish? It'll be served to brown bears Cody and Yaki. I believe that those are. No, it's grizzlies we have out here at the MoJo River.
Yes.
It's strangely. I mean, what you wouldn't think in Texas you would have grizzlies, but along the banks of the beautiful MoJo River, you will be amazed when you see them just standing there at the edge of the waterfall and swinging those. They're huge paws.
But if they start running,
boom. Oh.
You got to run faster than the person you're with.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. You do not have to outrun the bears here. You just have to outrun your partner. So if you want more information on that, we will put that link over on the Facebook page. Katy Perry has decided to remove a controversial pair of blackface shoes from the shelves of her fashion line.
This is a ridiculous story. But
everything's getting stupid.
But did you see the fashion show where the woman, we talked about it the other day,
the Gucci
where she
sweater?
was wearing the balaclava looking thing?
That's the dumbest thing.
Yep.
Ugly as hell on $900.
Most of those
and
things
apparently that's what stirred this thing up from the Katy Perry collections at Walmart. I guess it's also at Dillard's and other retailers, are being taken down due to their similarity to blackface performers. Perry's slipper loafers are called Roo Face slip-on loafers, and the high-heeled version, Aura Face block heel sandal, will reportedly disappear, as the black ones in particular seem to cause some offense. Now, the tan ones, the ones that resemble whiteface, will still, however, be available. According to TMZ, sources connected to the singer insist that the shoes were never intended to be offensive. I don't doubt that.
No, but you know how many people looked at those before they went on the market, and somebody didn't go, yeah, this is...
The only way to not be offended is to not be offended. There are beige versions of the shoes. Insiders confirmed in order to be respectful and sensitive, the team is in the process of pulling the shoes, which again is not a euphemism. Perry posted a photo of the shoes to her Instagram back in 2018, received backlash in the comment section at the time. They're shoes, people. A Spanish student has built a prosthetic arm out of Legos. This kid is smart. He is a 19-year-old born with only one arm, and said his childhood love of Legos led to his building a prosthetic arm out of the company's pieces. David Aguilar is his name. He's studying bioengineering at Barcelona International University of Catalonia, and said he's been tinkering with Lego inventions since he was 9. The hobby led to his developing a Lego prosthetic arm. He goes by the name Hound Solo online. He built his first arm when he was 18. Now he has several versions with a variety of functions.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to run around the house. Hey, Lego my ego.
Wow.
Sorry.
When he backhands you with that thing, you'll know it. Let me tell you. He said
it'll just shatter into a million pieces.
Damn it! I got to put my arm back together again. Yeah, don't step on your arm in the middle of the night, dude. That's going to hurt. He said the arm contains small motors inside to help the elbows and hands. The hands function like a biological limb. He said he's studying to design low-cost prosthetics for people unable to afford more expensive limbs. It will be available as a kit on the shelves of toy stores.
You know, I'm surprised that hasn't been done before now. I mean, people can make some intricate stuff out of Legos.
You know, though, if you only have one arm, it's going to be tough to put the damn thing together, isn't it?
What? But he did it.
Just saying.
I guess.
You ever tried to put a Lego castle together with one hand?
No.
You show me how. That's not easy to do. A global insect decline may mean that we are going to see a plague of pests. This is a good one. Scientific review of insect numbers suggests that 40% of the species are undergoing dramatic rates of decline around the world. The study says that bees, ants, and beetles are disappearing 8 times faster than mammals, birds, or reptiles, but researchers say that some species, such as houseflies and cockroaches, are likely to bloom. Oh, good. Those are the ones we needed more of. Houseflies and cockroaches. The general insect decline is being caused by insensitive agriculture, pesticides, and climate change. And a random fact for you. The butterflies you get in your stomach, you know when you get butterflies about something, you know what that is?
No.
It's a stress response caused by adrenaline.
Really?
You're feeling adrenaline rush. Yeah. There you know. And that ties nicely into the next story,
I thought it was nerves.
Nope. Well, it's adrenaline.
Yeah.
Affecting your nerves.
I guess.
The West Coast population of the monarch butterfly is disappearing. This is a sad story. The fall count shows that 99% decline in the butterfly population since the 1980s. In January, experts announced the western monarch butterfly population has hit a new low. Just 28,000 were found in California, a 99% decline from the 1980s, as they said. They blame pesticide use, climate change, starting to see a link here, and habit destruction from construction, agriculture, and wildfires, especially in the Central Valley. In other news, the migrating monarch butterfly population is climbing to the highest level in 12 years. I kid you not. There are 2 stories. You can find them both. One says they damn near gone.
Aren't those conflicting stories?
And the next one says they are higher than they've been in 12 years. The population of monarch butterflies that spend the winter in Mexico jumped more than 144% over last year. Mexican officials announced last week the butterflies occupied about 15 acres of high-altitude Mexican forest this year, up from about 6 acres in early 2018.
It's because they can't get over the wall.
It's because they wanted to get the hell out of California. Such a large population has not been observed since 2006. In 2014, the worst year for monarchs, the population occupied only an acre and a half. So take your pick. We're either out of butterflies or we have butterflies coming out our butt. One of the two, but not both. In the meantime, take a look at the rich solution, won't you? They have absolutely nothing at the Rich Solution that will help butterflies. But if you, on the other hand, would like to lead a healthier lifestyle, would like to find a way to, if you're a woman, maybe have great sex after 50, would maybe just like to get the stress down. Oh, which reminds me, it's time for my.
Do you know how many young ears we freak out when we say that?
Sex after 50?
Oh, man. All the kids are going,
Two things you never want to see in your life. Your kids having sex or your parents having sex.
Until you get over the age of 40, and then you're like, hey.
Right. Suddenly, sex after 50 seems... Suddenly, you're interested in sex after 50. It's really strange. Wow. But that's not the only supplement you'll find over at therichsolution.com. You will find the Rich Adapted as I was just taking. It has a very pleasant taste. And it helps get your life back in balance, a little stress.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you just throw that in your mouth and
isolate that audio.
and then you just swallow it, right? God, dog. Aren't you
well,
supposed
what do you
to put
think I'm supposed to do with it?
Aren't you supposed to put it under your tongue and
Well,
let it sit there?
If I did that, I wouldn't be able to talk.
Oh, I see. So you just suck it down for radio. Is that what you're doing?
I've been sucking it down for radio for years.
Sucking it down or sucking at?
Both.
One of the two.
Both. Things don't seem to be getting any better. Ran off the last co-host I had, apparently.
He's like, Brad sucks at radio so bad.
I'm going to go run on the railroad tracks. TheRichSolution.com. If you want to have great sex and if you want to no stress in your life, just go to TheRichSolution.com. See what you find, because it's, I'm telling you, I'm actually looking into their anti-inflammatories, by the way. Moving right along here, long-term MDMA users end up nicer than people who just drink, a new study has found.
Okay, what is MDMA?
Ecstasy.
Really?
Yes. If you've spent a lot of time with your eyes like dinner plates, chewing your face off in disused railway tunnels and gibbering, I love you, man. Good news. For whatever reason, ecstasy might actually have made you a nicer person in the long term. This according to a new study. Long-term pillheads have higher levels of empathy than cannabis and other drug users, including people who just drink. Scientists compared the empathy levels of 25 people who used multiple drugs, including ecstasy, 19 people who used multiple drugs, not including ecstasy, and 23 people who used alcohol only.
Can you imagine when they started this study, there were people sitting around a room going, all right, all you people are pissing me off. Let's start a study. See if we can make you nicer. Here, take this.
Users of ecstasy reported feeling much more empathy and were better at identifying the emotions of others on a computer task than those people who took cannabis, cocaine, or ketamine.
Wow.
What's ketamine?
We are spending money on those kind of studies.
Well,
I don't.
Would you not have participated?
Well, probably not, but.
No, go ahead. You got this.
No, I'm not.
No one's listening.
I'm not doing
this.
It's
just you and me.
No.
Just between you and me.
No, actually, it's not just you and me.
Just you and me. No one else.
There's a whole family listening right now.
They're not going to say a thing. They're not even. They're all out there humming. They don't want to know. Just so you know. We can't say whether differences in empathy were due to taking ecstasy or whether they were already differences in the people themselves, but that's what happened. Lufthansa is about to sue a passenger for not showing up to a booked flight, and this will piss you off. Let me tell you, Lufthansa, they are going to sue a passenger that they say purposefully booked a cheaper ticket with no intention of turning up for the final leg of their journey. So if you ever gone and booked a ticket to, let's say you're flying from Dallas to L.A.
Right.
And you get a nonstop from Dallas to L.A. and it's $500. But if you get a Dallas to L.A. to like Oregon, whatever,
right,
that's $300. For whatever reason, the multi-leg, the multiple stop ticket is less money. People are buying those and just getting off before that final leg. And Lufthansa doesn't like that.
So let's sue our customers.
So they are thinking
That's brilliant
about
planning.
The principle that airlines charge less for more flights lies behind pricing strategy by network carriers like Lufthansa, Air France, British Airways. An increasing number of passengers took to capitalize on that by just booking the tickets that they needed and not using the rest of the ticket. And not having a checked bag, so they just would carry on their bag so they could get off whatever they wanted to. And now that's irritating the airlines, and they are going to sue.
It's brilliant, though.
It's brilliant idea.
It's brilliant.
It's a brilliant idea.
Didn't they have an empty plane going from point B to point C?
That's what they don't like. Down in Abilene, Texas, students down there are wearing wigs in tribute to the late painter Bob Ross, who, by the way, is another guy that now Doc has met. Bob Ross. I wonder if they're up there painting together. Bob Ross.
Happy little trees,
happy
baby.
Happy little trees. A lot of happy little trees at a Texas middle school this week. Art students at Madison Middle School in Abilene put on their curliest wigs and painted little trees onto canvases to pay homage to the late painter Bob Ross.
I'm surprised that's not in the news for cultural appropriation.
Here's a white guy. You can't appropriate anything from white guys. We have nothing.
No, but it's the froze. It's the people with froze. They're like, what in the hell?
I mean, that's just, it's not like he...
Are all people with froze painters?
Are all painters people with froze? These are the questions
These
we
are the
demand to know.
questions.
You know, one day somewhere people will sit around and wear a hair plug style wig and in tribute to Doc Thompson and sit around and talk about radio in their classes.
Doc had hair plugs?
Oh, you never heard the hair plug story?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The
Doc didn't need hair plugs.
Ask the jackholes. They'll tell you.
I'm sure they
They'll
would.
tell you the whole story. Yeah. Which is funny because if you ever get hair plugs and then you go bald,
yeah,
you go bald everywhere except where you got the hair
where
plugs.
the hair plugs
are. Just saying, you got to think these things through sometimes. I don't know. On the list of things that will never, ever, ever happen to us, a Babe Ruth card bought for $2 could be worth millions. California man said the Babe Ruth baseball card that he bought for $2 from a collectibles store could turn out to be worth a fortune. He said he spotted the card with an $8 price tag at Action Sports and Coin in Sparks, Nevada. He ended up paying only $2 because they were having a sale that day.
Wow.
Yeah. So he researched the card online for days and discovered it might be one of the rare cards printed by the Shotwell Company in 1921. If that is the case, it would be a $2 million card.
I need to get my wife to go through her basketball cards. You know, when you have a house fire, Brad, the only things that don't get burned up or the only things that that you're able to save are all the crap you don't want.
Yes, that's generally the way it happens.
But all of her basketball cards got saved. We need to go through them and make sure.
Yes, absolutely. A recent study found that eating dark chocolate in moderate amounts is associated with lower levels of abdominal fat. Scientists speculate the antioxidants may help fight inflammation and improve metabolic functioning.
Okay,
that's good
did
news.
I just hear you say that
eating dark chocolate may help you lose weight, may help you lose abdominal fat.
There's a little bit of dark chocolate right there on the table, by the way. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. However, I can guarantee you that if you eat only dark chocolate, you are not going to lose weight. You've got to obviously
I've tested that theory.
Healthy lifestyle. You have to eat right. And if you need a little secret weapon and a little extra boost, try Riduzone. If you go to riduzone.com, you'll find out all about the OEA molecule, and that happens. It does magic inside you. Why not? Does magic inside you. And this little molecule bounces around. It helps. It can actually, they've found in studies that it may help increase your metabolism and may help you lose body fat. Of course, like I've always said, there is no magic bullet. There's no pill out there. There's no supplement. There's no nothing that you can take that's going to make you magically in great shape and lose weight. It just doesn't exist. But if you've got your head in the right place to... If you got your head in the right place to lose weight, and that you do, you have to lead a healthier lifestyle, and you want that extra little boost. You need that little something that will help you get kind of over the hump.
That little
something. That little something. Riduzone is could be your magic bullet there. Did you know sleep deprivation also makes it harder to lose weight? That was part of that's. I know that's. I think I slept about 3.5, maybe 4
How much weight did you lose?
Yeah, none. I mean, none last night.
All the M&Ms, dude.
But sleep deprivation. The M&Ms are therapy. Shut up. If you don't sleep,
take that away from
if you don't sleep, they say that is a real that can that increases your stress hormones.
I started to
and everything
say,
else.
If you don't sleep, you're gonna die. I mean, seriously.
Well, Doc wasn't sleeping. Look what happened to him.
Oh, okay.
No, it did. I mean, the guy was not sleeping.
I agree.
So, yeah. Go to riduzone.com. Get yourself some Riduzone. See if you can lose some fat. It is Tuesday, February 12th, 2019. There are only 629 days until election 2020. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Abraham Lincoln would be 209 years old today. Did you know that? Charles Darwin would be 209. Josh Brolin is 50 today, and Christina Ricci is 38. It was on this day in 1999 that he was acquitted. This is a toughie. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about it. 1999, he was acquitted. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about it.
That wasn't O.J. Simpson.
No.
That was
He
95.
didn't get impeached. He got acquitted.
Oh, Bill Clinton.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In 2008, GM reported a record loss this day. They offered buyouts of 74,000 workers. But, of course, that put them right back on the track to prosperity and good times. So today, they are just knocking it out of the park. They don't need any help whatsoever. They are doing quite well. So don't worry about GM. They have learned their lesson from all those years ago, and they have put their errant ways behind them. Now they are ready to swing for the back fence. They are ready to put it out of the park.
You don't like
you
don't like GM, do you?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that they could have maybe learned a lesson from 2008, 11 years ago.
They don't.
No. A retired group of detectives say that there's a gang of serial killers out there still. They're responsible for at least 70 accidental drownings. They're known as the Smiley Face Gang. They say that these serial killers could be responsible for about 100 deaths since 1997 across the United States that have been officially labeled as accidental drownings. The deceased people all bear similar profiles. And this gang of killers, they operate in cells, they say, across the country that communicate via the dark web to recruit, choose victims, and organize the killings. Smiley face killers. If you know people who've drowned, just saying, could be the work of the Smiley Face Gang. Those, my friends, are your headlines. Coming up, I think Dan is calling us here in a second. We'll talk about the abortion bill up in New York and the one that failed in Virginia. This is Doc Thompson's Daily Mojo.
Free exchange of ideas. MoJo 50.
Our country uses a ton of cliches. Many of them seem to accurately describe the liberal left today, and here's why. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree brings to mind how the leadership of the Democratic Party in Congress sets the tone for the hatred that pours out daily against President Trump. But no matter what, Democrats maintain an appearance of solidarity to garner buy-in from the American public without revealing the truth about themselves. Take, for example, the newly elected Democratic sweetheart, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and her radical Green New Deal. If you're smarter than the fifth grader, you've already figured out that her plan to tackle climate change not only eliminates air travel and would require the U.S. to rely on renewable energy only, but it would also financially destroy our country in the process. Democrats running for president in 2020 have already announced their support of the deal. Senator Kamala Harris indicated that she is proud to co-sponsor the Green New Deal and believes climate change must be tackled aggressively because of the threat it poses. What she fails to report is that since 2015, Harris has spent around $300,000 on air travel, including many trips in first class. Who doesn't remember in 2017 when the California senator flew to the Hamptons to meet with Hillary Clinton's mega donors so that she could begin her journey to become America's next socialist president? And then there's Senator Cory Booker, who just loves AOC's New Deal. His campaign records show that at least $300,000 was spent on his air travel since 2013, and public records show that at times he travels using chartered flights. Practice what you preach just doesn't seem to be something that liberals are ever willing to do. And that's today's Reality Check with Susan Knowles.
A former Democratic National Committee member told Politico on Monday that he will become national senior advisor to the Draft Beto campaign. That sounds like a horrible beer, probably a Pilsner.
The Defenders with Stephen Airy, tonight at 9.
MoJo 50. You get great service and you do some good in the world with Patriot Mobile. Sign up for a Patriot Mobile account today. Start saving money, get great coverage, and do a little bit of good because they support companies, organizations, and candidates that you like. It's patriotmobile.com/doc. patriotmobile.com/doc.
The Daily Mojo.
Brad is taking one for the ream. I don't know if Dan meant team or is Dan Maynard over on Facebook. Okay. Sucking it down for radio isn't as lucrative as for TV. No. And let me tell you, neither's TV. Megan Price, Ron needs to move out from behind the glass. Dan Maynard in response, there's a reason they keep Ron behind the glass. That's true.
Base for radio, baby.
Yes, you do. And Nell Ford says hospitals still do use beepers. Somebody has to do it. Get your tweets in as well. Over on the Twitter, Denny says the rental casket is icing on the whole sad, hilarious cake. Yes, it is. And we'll in talking to Stunt Brain about that, was that yesterday, the day before, Stunt Brain had some fabulous lines about just that. Right now on the phone, a good friend, a trusted colleague, Dan Andros. Dan, how you getting along?
Hey, good guys. How you doing?
Not bad. Yeah, I guess you heard the news, huh?
Yeah. I mean, obviously shocked and saddened to hear that. Just horrible news, and R.I.P. Doc. I mean, he was nothing but great when we worked together. I loved seeing the energy he brought, and just obviously a fantastic talent who is clearly going to be missed, and a classic radio guy. I mean, there's just not a ton of those. It's a rare commodity these days. Somebody who really gets radio, and then he was one of those guys, and had the voice for it, had the talent, had the sense of humor, and the whole package. So.
And some say he was a little.
I'm still processing it.
I know.
So shocked.
Believe me, yeah, it's tough, and especially like in your position where you didn't see him every day. It's like when my dad died, I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, so it was slightly easier to take because you just don't see them each day, so it's not as big a chunk missing. But when it's somebody that you see every day and you work so closely with, and Dan and Doc and I all worked at the other place together for several years, and when that happens, when you work so closely with somebody and you are close friends, it's just your brain just doesn't want to accept it. That's the problem. It just doesn't process. But anyway, we're headed up to the services on Thursday morning. We're going to try to live stream some of the celebration of life. So keep your eye on all of that. Dan is now over. You're at FaithWire, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, I'm the managing editor at faithwire.com, and we are covering everything from that Christian perspective, which there's not a whole lot of outlets that do that.
Right. Yeah.
So we're one of those voices that hopefully, if you're looking for somebody who understands an eternal value, when they're looking at the news and the things going on, that's what we do.
We're in trouble. We're in big trouble. With the abortion bill that passed up in New York, the one that was defeated in Virginia, thankfully, what? Let's dive into the one in New York. Now, it allows. Yeah. Just go ahead and dive into that. Kind of give us the broad structure.
Sure. Well, it's conveniently called the RHA, which is the Reproductive Health Act. So, of course, it's worded that way, which is a classic way that pro-choice folks like to word things. Exactly, so that it sounds like who would be against that. But it was worded so vaguely, and the sticking point that allows because typically what they'll argue as well, you want to be able to have a late-term abortion. They cite the most extreme examples now, where the woman's life is in danger. And I don't think, and if there was one of those scenarios where that was the case, I think pretty much everyone's like, okay, we get that. But that's extremely rare, number one. And number two, a lot of people are arguing that there isn't even any, especially in late term, that you can always birth the baby.
Right.
Right? Like the baby can be born. There's no reason to kill the baby. Like born early, yes, but kill it, why? And I'm not a doctor, so people are having those debates. So I would encourage you. We've got a few on our site. I would encourage you to dive deeper into that. But I think there is a good case to be made where you don't have to. You'll find that if you see someone citing that example, it'll be right at that line of like 22 weeks, 21 weeks, where it's debatable whether the baby will survive or not. And I'm still against that in that case. But that's the argument that people make. So anyway, so this law was signed in, and it was worded that abortion is necessary to protect, they can allow it when the abortion is necessary to protect the patient's life or health. And that was the problematic point, because that could mean anything.
It's nebulous.
Well, I'm just going to be, yeah, exactly. You can get a doctor who, if they're bent on saying, I don't care, I'll do an abortion whenever, I want the money, or whatever reason I think this is right, which is horrific, they can allow it. The law allows them to do that. And I think what shocked, because this story went huge on our page when we put it up, and I think the shocking thing with it, Brad, was the people cheered. Like it was like this creepy cheer in the room, and it was like
that was
like
bizarre.
watching, Old Testament biblical times with like baby sacrifices, like yay, and I know they're being duped, and these people are being kind of played as sort of useful, useful idiots, to use the term.
Right.
They're not thinking of it in that way, but that was the thing that sort of, I think, set people off.
Yeah, it was the cheering for what seemed to be the ending of a life. And was it one of the things that changed? Wasn't it the fact that they no longer had to have 3 doctors or 2 doctors approve of it? It was down to 1 doctor, didn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they reduced the burden on it to make it easier. And so, and then the other thing it removed abortion from the state's penal code and instead added it to public health law. And so already we saw this having an effect where a pregnant woman, was stabbed to death, and the guy obviously was trying to kill her and stabbed her abdomen, stabbed her stomach, and killed the unborn baby as well. But prosecutors ended up dropping the charge against the child because of this new law. They said, you know what, it's probably not going to stick because of this new law, so we're only going to do the charge on, of the murder of the woman. So already we're seeing, the effects of this is having on sort of devaluing the life of the child inside the womb.
What do you think that had any effect? Because the Virginia bill, when it was defeated after the bill in New York was passed. Do you think that the backlash against the bill in New York had any effect on the one in Virginia?
I don't. That's a good question. I know it did have a big effect was when Republican Todd Gilbert was questioning one of the sponsors of the bill, Democrat Kathy Tran. And I don't know if you saw that clip, but she's up there and she's kind of explaining the bill, and he's grilling her, and he says it's really a stunning clip. It's almost just as bad as the cheers, probably even worse. He says he paints this picture and saying, look, does your bill permit abortion when it's obvious that the woman's about to give birth, when it's at a point where she could still, right when she's about to give birth, she's dilating.
Right. But the baby's head is crowning.
She goes, well, and so she's like, well, it's unfortunate the doctors aren't here to explain. He goes, no, I'm just asking you, is it permitted in the bill? Like, we're not talking about the decision, like, of to do it or not, like, between the doctor. He's like, does your bill allow it? And she just goes, yes.
Yeah.
And so she just admitted right there that you could kill a child for any reason, health reason, allegedly, vague health reason, right before the moment they're about to be born. And that was just a shocking moment. And then Ralph Northam. Now, I think everyone's forgot that Governor Northam here, because of all the blackface controversy that he's in right now, I think everyone's already forgotten the fact that he literally took it a step further and defended this bill on radio and said that, not only can you kill them up to the moment of birth, when the baby is born, he said, this is after the baby's born. It's sitting there on the table. They said, we'll keep the baby comfortable.
That's right.
And then allow if they want to resuscitate it or not. Like, what? Are you, so, and he didn't back down from those comments, by the way. He apologized, but like, one of those non-apology sort of ways. I don't have the text in front of me, but he did not say like, no, we're going to keep that baby alive outside. I misspoke. He didn't say that. He did not refute his own words there. So,
well, and the amazing thing, he's being grilled over the blackface thing as opposed to that.
Yes. He literally advocated a doctor and a woman being able to kill a born baby on a table, and people are more now. Look, the blackface thing and whatever. I mean, if he hasn't repented from those things,
right,
then that's a problem too. But when you look at the scale of problems, you would think murdering a helpless child on a table because of convenience, you would think is a little bit more serious.
Right.
Apparently, that's not where our society's at.
Well, and I always refer to the professor up in the Northeast somewhere. I think he was advocating for up until
Sanger,
3 years old, 3 or 4. I mean, it was something crazy.
Yeah, I want to say it's like Peter Singer or something like that.
Yeah,
I forget the guy's name. There's a jeweler up here that has the same name, so like it always confuses me.
What?
He runs ads all the time, like Crazy Eddie or something. But
right, but in reality, what is the difference if the baby is just about to be born? If the head is crowning, and you can do it at that point, if you can do it when it's on the table and still alive, why not at 3? Why not at 4?
Right, and that's an honest pro-choice person who's following their position to its logical ends. Because you're right, like it's clearly a human in those late stages. I mean, I still think it's a bad argument, but your argument at least, appears a little better when you're arguing against, like the early stages. I mean, it's still DNA. I believe it's still human. I believe moment of conception. That's where I'm at on it. But you can at least see how the argument seems a little better there. There is no argument late term, and I think smart people like that doctor realize it, and so that's why they have to. I mean, he's one of the few who's willing to admit that. But they have to logically say, well, it can't survive on its own. If you just leave it there on the table, it's not going to eat. It's not going to go get food. It's not like an animal. It's going to go walk around and, get something.
A 3-year-old's not going to be able to do that either. You put a 3-year-old in the middle of the forest, and it's going to die too. So we keep moving. We keep moving this point down the timeline. So where is it okay to stop and to say no? When they're 7, when they can make themselves a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, at that point, then they could be viable, and you can't kill them then. I mean, it's a crazy argument, but that follows the logic.
It does, and I'll give you another story here, Brad, to show that this pattern of, why these things, aside from the obvious of the harm to the baby, why they're so harmful to the general devaluing of human life. And, when you start to, if you really push back on someone who has a pro-choice position, you'll start to hear them wandering into, talking points that then go into hard luck cases. Well, they're poor, they're not going to be. It starts being matters of convenience when they realize the science argument breaks down and that it's actually a person in there. They start trying to pull at your heartstrings with, well, difficult situations. Well, the baby's, got a health issue. And so we had a story the other day we covered, Brad. It was a shocking one. A British couple aborted their daughter at 22 weeks after learning she'd be born with spina bifida. And so, the doctors were like, hey, this is going to be a challenging life for your family. And so they therefore said, we made the difficult decision to abort the child because they wanted to spare her the great suffering. Now, that's the kind of logic you're going to start seeing, like this abortion on, demand when it's, out of a matter of, well, it's going to be hard. Life is going to be difficult. Well, God never promised that our life is going to be easy. And I can guarantee you that child, was meant to be for the good, the greater good of their life and for God's glory one way or another. And we actually had our readers really poured in amazingly, people who actually were pregnant with that same situation, and many of the doctors told them the same thing, but they decided to value life and have their baby anyway. And so that story's up on faithwire.com if you want to check it out. But we have all of these people's testimonies and the beautiful pictures of their kids who are now a couple years old. Some of them are up to 12-year-old, and they've got pictures of them all the way. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing. And, and it's a shame that we as a society can't come together to understand that this is a life and process from the very moment of conception.
Well, and again, if you start talking about life being difficult, how far a leap again is it from a time where we say, well, there was a study out that people with blonde hair have a much harder time surviving in the world. So if you find out your child is going to have blonde hair, well, you can go ahead and abort it. I mean, again, using that logic, where do you draw the line of demarcation? Where is it? It's a very slippery slope.
It's a very slippery slope because like that example you gave would be like an obvious one that you shouldn't do, and I realize why you're bringing it up to make the point. But then it becomes, when you slide it back and people find reasons that are a little more, a little grayer and harder for people to delineate, that, well, they might say, spina bifida is bad, and that would be a tough life, and so people get susceptible to that argument. But this is what happens, Brad, I think, when we make ourselves the God of our lives, and we don't actually look to God for guidance on these situations. We start trying to make these decisions, and we start trying to play God with them, and we are horrible gods. We're terrible.
We're not real good at it. No, not even a little bit. And that's, and you're right. That's where I think we, at this point, I mean, is God looking down at this point and saying, wow, we are close to the end, I'm getting ready to pull the plug on the whole stinking experiment. I'm almost done. And it's how close.
I mean, look,
it's scary.
It is. And I think, I don't think God's surprised by anything, but because he knows the beginning and the end. But at the same time, I think when we look at the, events unfolding in front of us in real time, it's hard not to think that, the schedule had Jesus coming back pretty soon.
Right. Yeah, I just, everything that's happening in this country especially just seems to be really not headed down the right path as far as giving a crap about human life in general.
Yes.
We seem to, as a society, have misplaced the values. And I don't know if it's because, there's 330 million people in this country now, and it's, as it's hard to get 8 people to decide where to have lunch. Much less 330 million people try to decide on something and have it be even close to unanimous. So I don't know what the answer is at this point. I mean,
yeah,
got any thoughts?
It's the great blessing and the curse of social media, to be honest with you. It's great to be connected on social media, to give people a voice. We can create an outlet like FaithWire. You guys can do, MoJo 50, and we can create all these great things and these outlets for people to build communities. But at the same time, it seems to have, made us. I think the phenomenon. It's like this. I don't have a word for it, but it's like this exuberance, like these uninformed but yet overzealous warriors who kind of have some strong opinions, maybe not always so well thought out, and then they just read the surface and they see the headlines and they're just so vocal about it. Like, and it's like these are conversations and things you would never, at least previous to social media, you would never do in real life. Like, you wouldn't hear someone make a fleeting comment, about a particular issue and just fly off the handle at it. And be like, that's typical, you bat crazy wing nut job. Like, nobody would do that.
It's
in
the
real life.
anonymity.
So it, enables people to, exactly. And it enables people to just, spout and just get rid of their rage when they normally wouldn't do that in a real life scenario. So, I mean, in the end, the onus, to me, I think it just shows our sin nature as a Christian who looks at the worldview as a fallen world, where we're all part of sin. I think all this does is just sort of expose our sin.
Right.
And so really it's on us. Like, we have to get better at interacting with people and sort of, not caving your views at all, but like just interacting in a way that's more normal. Like, I think we can do this. Like, I feel like, maybe the pendulum will swing back and we won't just be so, quick to just, I mean, you look at the PC stuff right now.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's nuts. Like, you cannot say anything. I mean, Rob Lowe, with the hilarious tweet about new meaning to Commander-in-Chief when he's talking about, what's her name?
Elizabeth
Warren, who Trump calls Pocahontas. That was a funny tweet.
Yes, it was.
Come on. Like, you can't deal with that?
Her cookbook was called Pow Wow Chow. She wrote it. So she can do it, and she's only a 1,024th. And Rob Lowe, that was a hysterical tweet.
Right.
People have lost the ability to laugh at each other.
They've lost the ability to laugh at each other. We've made each other the enemy. I think we kind of tolerated each other before, like the pre-social media days of you had your crazy uncle or whatever who had his crazy political views, and you just kind of you chuckled along and still loved on him and everything else. And we got to find our ability to do that again, or else it's just not going to go well.
Don't you remember when the rule was you don't discuss religion or politics in mixed company? And I always, when you're young, you think, well, that's a stupid rule, but that's what those rules are gone. And this is the result of breaking those rules. Now, there has to be an open discussion. I mean, people have to rise above the level of Neanderthals and actually have a logical discourse, but that doesn't seem to be what a lot of people are capable of.
Yeah, I don't mind having the conversation. I do think we just have to be and I'm guilty as a radio guy. Like, I'm used to sort of, I grew up in the era of like debating the callers, like trying to win the argument and win the point. But like, a friend of mine and I always joke that, his big phrase is like, nobody's testimony as it pertains to the Christian faith, nobody's testimony ever starts with, and I lost an argument.
Right.
Right. So I'm there's this book called Tactics out there, and I forget the guy's Greg something or other, but it's a great book. I think you all should read it. It's just like a simple, I'm sorry to make a book plug. I have nothing to tie to it. I just like it.
No, I love book assignments.
It's an easy read, but it's basically this whole sort of how do you position an argument, and in a way that you want to make your point, but not turn everyone off and make it hostile and annoying. And he just talks about the Columbo tactic, which is asking questions. Just ask him honestly. Well, how did you write? What do you mean by that? Simple questions that will a lot of times, like when we're talking about this abortion law, well, how would you, where do you define life? Where does life begin for you? And then you just start going down the road and question and make them sort of evaluate you'll find a lot of times that people have not even really evaluated their own views. And so, so a lot of times we're arguing before, and I'm guilty of this too, we're arguing before we really know what we're talking about. We think we know sometimes, but we know maybe down to a level or two, but we don't really know. So
that is true.
So it's a good practice not only to do with other people, but to do with yourself and say, well, do I really know before I go jamming on social media about all this? Do I really know what I'm saying here?
It's called engaging your brain before you engage your mouth. Another one of those old sayings that seems to have fallen to the wayside.
Think before you talk.
Right. It's a dangerous road that we're heading down. And my go-to has always been, at least recently, the only two hopes that we have are an attack from Mars or Yellowstone erupting. Those two, we have a big, think about what happened after 9/11. The country came together, even for only a brief period of time. But if we had a major attack or a major disaster from an outside force, people seem to band together when that happens. Short of that, I don't hold out much hope, which I hate to say, but it's true.
No, and that's a great point, because I think we recognize our shared humanity then, right? And we sort of start realizing what actually matters at that point, and we sort of put the petty differences aside.
Yeah.
But again, I think when people make politics their god, which I believe a lot of the progressive left do, and I think that's how they justify many of their actions. Like when you see sort of crazy things happening, or somebody acting horribly, or when they want to censor everybody, like they don't see a problem with that, because they've made their ideology, the political left, their god. I mean, that is, I'm not saying all Republicans are believers and everything else, but from a Christian perspective, from a believer perspective, that side typically puts the authority in a higher power, which takes it away from yourself. And you're just trying to be a facilitator of the things that God wants us to do, the principles and the values that we know are right. Whereas the left, it ends up, when you don't have God there, it ends up becoming about power, because it's up to us to institute these things on the society. And it's up to, and then therefore they're allowed to, because it's on them, they allow themselves to, justify in their minds doing things like shutting people down and silencing them, or, regardless of what you think about Tommy, like someone threw water on her and they thought this was a great idea, like out in public. And I'm like, you guys, or kicking Sarah Sanders out of the restaurant because she's a Republican. Like these are the sorts of things they'll justify because they don't put their faith in a higher power. They put it in themselves.
Hopefully there's hope for us, although you are far more optimistic than I am. Dan Andros with faithwire.com. And what's your Twitter handle?
Just at Dan Andros.
Well, that's simple enough. Boy, that's a coincidence, isn't it? Same as your name. Dan, it was good to talk to you again.
No one took it, shockingly. Yeah, it's great talking to you.
Great to talk, and I'm sure we will talk again soon. Thank you, my friend.
All right, Brad. Take care. God bless.
Well, thank you. It is a crazy time. People just don't. People are just mean, and again, in Jackhole Nation, you've seen what some people have tweeted. I mean, some of the hate-filled things that they've said about even Doc and Scott Shannon. I will say this: when Scott Shannon sent a note to Mike Opelka to Stunt Brain, he said, "I've been looking around, and everybody had good things to say about this guy." He didn't know Doc, but he said, "Man, everybody had good things to say." They're hiding behind social media. They're hiding behind that anonymity, and we are not headed down a good road.
No, it's all these passive aggressive assholes that will stay behind their social media. It's something they would never say in person.
Right. Yeah, that was what Dan was saying. You'd never say the things that they're saying in person to anybody that you would meet on the street, and not expect them to
punch you in the face.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, well, I hope that there's hope. We'll find out. In the meantime, if you don't have any hope, it's always TRA Guns. I forgot.
That gives me hope.
It does. Remember that shirt at SHOT Show? It said, "If you don't have a gun when you need it, you may never need a gun again."
That's right.
And
that's exactly right.
Sadly, that's true. I mean, it would be nice if you didn't have to Didn't have to worry about protecting yourself or your family or even, you know what, may not even want a gun for that reason. You may want a gun because you like to go out target shooting. You may want a gun because you think it looks cool, and by God, it's your right to have one. And I support you in that. And that's what TRA Guns is all about. They are the most convenient gun store on earth. And there's a reason for that. And I'll tell you a little story here. There's a gun store in Dallas. I'm not going to tell you which one, because we were talking in person, but they do not know their ass from a hole in the ground. They couldn't find their butt with a flashlight in both hands.
This here's a gun. They call it a gun.
Oh, boy,
because it shoots bullets.
Frustrate the hell out of me. They did not know the law. That is not the case with TRAguns.com.
No, Kurt, he's a good guy.
Kurt is a great guy.
We met him at SHOT Show, or I got to meet him the first time at SHOT Show. And fantastic guy, got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, he really does, and that's the beauty of TRA Guns. If there's a gun you're thinking about buying, call Kurt. Talk to him. He's also thinking about opening up that, I guess the plans are underway to open up the brick and mortar in North Carolina. So that'll be, I guess there's not a timeline for that. But in the meantime, you can go and you can find the 360-degree virtual views of the guns that Kurt has. Everything from Smith & Wesson to the Taurus to Kel-Tec to North American Arms. I mean, he's got a huge selection. And you can see right down to whether or not he cleaned those guns well enough. I mean, that's how crystal clear these pictures are. So if you really want to deal with somebody who knows what they're talking about, if you want to get a gun for whatever reason you want it, because it's your right to own one, the answer is TRAguns.com. TRAguns.com. So decided, Doc keeps getting mail. Decided to, somebody's got to open it, right?
Well, somebody has to open it. Now, you're running out of time. You know this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've got plenty of time. So we decided to open this particular. I don't know. I haven't looked at Doc's web browsing history, but
he did not order these.
How do we know that? We do not know
because I received an email.
Let's just say I pulled this package out here. Damn it. There are. How would you describe these, Ron? How would you describe this package that I'm holding in my hand? Addressed to one dog.
Dick-shaped gummies. That's as easy as
they are in fact dick-shaped gummies. They come in several colors. There's some green ones in there, some yellow ones. There's some red ones. There's a couple white ones in there, so it doesn't matter what color.
Why Doc would be getting those in the mail, because there was nothing else in that envelope.
Why? I mean, and hey, look, no judgment here. This is a no judgment zone. Look, we're not going to judge you for the dick-shaped gummies that you get in the mail. Or this could be another one of those beyond the grave Doc jokes.
It could be.
He keeps slinging the jokes at us. You know what I'm going to do next? Dick-shaped gummies.
There you go.
That's what it's all about. This is Doc Thompson's Daily Mojo.
This is the seditious, rabble-rousing, liberty-loving, home of fun, entertaining, and compelling talk. MoJo 50.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Congressional negotiators have agreed to give President Trump limited funds for some new fencing along the southern border in hopes of preventing another partial government shutdown at week's end.
News of a deal came as President Trump was starting a rally in El Paso, Texas for a border wall.
Maybe progress is made, maybe not.
While he's been demanding nearly $6 billion for a concrete barrier, that's not what's reportedly in the deal. Aides say negotiators agreed to build additional metal slats for just 55 miles in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. Some GOP critics are already bashing the deal, and it's unclear if the president would sign it.
We want to stop criminals from coming in. Walls save lives.
Jackie Quinn, Washington.
As public school teachers in Denver walk the picket lines for a second day, talks aimed at ending the strike resume later today. Teachers Union negotiator Rob Gould notes the walkout comes after 15 months of negotiations.
You know, it just felt like we were going around and around and around in circles, like there was no end to this. And so we felt like we had to use our last tool in our tool chest to really get them to listen.
Two sides disagree on pay hikes and bonuses for teachers in high-poverty schools, as well as other schools that the district prioritizes. Retired astronaut Mark Kelly, he rocketed to the national spotlight when his Congresswoman wife, Gabrielle Giffords, was shot in a failed assassination attempt. As announced, he's running to finish out John McCain's last term in the U.S. Senate. 3 Army soldiers injured in a night training accident at Homestead Air Reserve Base near Miami. News outlets report the soldiers were parachuting at the time of the accident. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 206 points. S&P futures 19 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Bottom line, if you want to lose weight, go to riduzone.com. That's RIDU zone.com. Riduzone has helped countless people lose weight, and they can help you too by boosting your metabolism and making you feel a little bit fuller naturally. Riduzone.com.
Hi there. This is Watson Prunier, host of Battle for Freedom on MoJo 50 Radio. Battle for Freedom is an endeavor about freeing people from the illusion of tribalism. Tribalism is the political presupposition that remains as one of the biggest anchors to gridlock and stalemate in society today. Most people do not even realize how they are tied to their ethnicity, their gender, sexual preference, and political party. Most conservatives believe that identity politics is solely an issue with liberals, and that's furthest from the truth. That's why I broadcast live on MoJo 50 Radio, Mondays and Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is to reach anyone willing to be set free with the truth. Tell your friends about this Caucasianly challenged Christian host on MoJo 50 Radio. Battle for Freedom, Mondays and Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The 3, which is a threesome.
Yes.
But a full, I guess, foursome. And then 5-some. And then gangbang.
You're in no man's land.
Yeah.
No, you're in a lot of man's land. A lot of man's.
Brandon Morse, today at 1. MoJo 50.
Dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you know you're going to think the same way, as for, you know, from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Rebel rousers, instigators, troublemakers, freaks, agitators, fanatics, scallywags, scamps, firebrands, rogues, scoundrels, MoJo sexuals. MoJo 50.
The mothership has landed.
All right. Who sent the fudge? Who sent
I don't know,
the
but
fudge?
I love them very much.
Dear Brad and Patrick, I've been meaning to send you goodies since the move to MoJo 50, and I finally got around to Vilsen der Bluffel with fudge. And now all this. Please take this as a tale of my gratitude for all the good times past and hopefully to come.
She sent 110.
Sluggy Fitzfrancis.
Yeah, Sluggy.
Sluggy.
Is that right, Sluggy?
Yes. Yeah, Vika Slug.
She sent 110 to you and Doc, 110 to me and Matt, and 110 to Brandon.
Vika, thank you.
And since Matt doesn't eat candy or fudge or sugar,
you're going to eat.
I'm going to eat it all.
Are you saying you're going to eat Matt's fudge? That's great. You know what? We are learning so much more about you, Ron, today.
Thanks.
It is amazing. And
I
I
was
think
going to eat fudge.
I think that it's
Till you put it that way.
Fabulous that you are feeling more and more comfortable in front of the jackholes to admit any and all of your habits. And this is they're going to love you anyway. I'll judge you, but they likely won't. Vika, thank you. That was very kind of you. And I'll get pictures of Ron eating Matt's fudge and make sure that I tweet those as well, because I may sell them. And a big thank you also to Hertz Rental Car in Bentonville, Arkansas. So here's what happened. Una goes to Hertz because every time that they would take a trip, they'd go over to Hertz, rent a car, and they didn't have to put the miles on their car. And she goes over to Hertz, and she's driving to. She's renting a car so she can drive to Ohio with the kids.
This
for the
is
service.
really, really nice.
And the people at Hertz in Bentonville said, "Look, we've We've seen the stories. We know what's going on. And not only are we going to upgrade you, damn it.
Hang in there, brother.
Okay, that's
we're going to upgrade you to a very nice automobile.
And it's going to be free of charge.
Free of charge.
And that is really, really nice.
So Hertz Bentonville, thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, it gives me hope.
They,
because otherwise,
they stepped out there, and they didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't.
She's a well-known figure in that area, and they heard what happened, and this is really nice, really nice. You don't see that very often.
It's unfortunate that sometimes it takes something like this to bring out, and again, it's the funeral thing. It's you see the best in people, you see the worst in people, and we're seeing the best in the people over at Hertz in Bentonville. And so if you're up in that area and you need a rental car for whatever reason, the folks over there at Hertz have a heart. So show them a little love at the same time. That's just very, very kind of you to do up there at Hertz. All right, get the tweets and all in. B from the SAV, his nickname at some other platform was Plugs. Is it referring to Doc?
Docs.
You don't say, I'm surprised you didn't.
No, I didn't know that. I swear. I'm going to go listen to it.
They were quite stylish plugs. Battle for Freedom. If Real Brad Staggs ends up running on the tracks again, it's not because of Real Ron Phillips, but the second chair. Yes, that's true. Just nod your head in agreement. JR15, I think I'm overdue for a little more before 40, let alone 50.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And the truck and tree guy, Bob Ross, was actually an Air Force drill instructor. Hard to picture him screaming at people. Yeah,
you know how ironic that is?
That is bizarre that we're just going to put some trees over here. And some
Not a lot of people know this, but I was too.
You were too.
Yeah.
I can see you doing it.
Air Force drill sergeant. I was an asshole.
You kind of get dicky sometimes.
I was an asshole. But you know what? That was the job. I trained probably 3,500 people and put them in the Air Force.
And you were no doubt good at it.
I was.
No doubt whatsoever. So keep the cards and the letters and the tweets and the notes coming. And like I said, we'll keep this thing moving right on down the track, as it were. Back to the phones now. Mark Netro. Am I saying your name right? Your last name, Mark? Is it Netro or Nitro? Nitro. I realized that after we spoke yesterday that I hadn't asked you the proper pronunciation. Mark is with oneearout.org. oneearout.org. And
it's interesting that he's on our show today.
It is very, very interesting. Mark,
very timely.
Tell us the story about what happened to your daughter, please.
Well, about a year and a half ago, she was walking on the train tracks with her headphones and walking to work and was hit by a train and killed. So we decided to start One Ear Out to kind of raise awareness for headphone safety and kind of reach out to people that have gone through similar things and show some support.
Have you, and I did this a couple of days ago, maybe it was yesterday, time lately has kind of been a weird concept, but I looked up the odds of it happening. First of all, the odds are astronomical, 1 in a billion some odd. But people have been, there's some people have been pointing fingers at Doc and saying, and we all have agreed, this was a dumbass move. You don't walk on train tracks with headphones and earbuds in. But we all make stupid decisions every day. We text when we drive. Yeah. We do things that could leave us in the same position. So the key is here to, instead of pointing fingers at people, to actually raise a little bit of awareness. And that's why you started this organization, because I'm sure your first instinct or your first emotion, at least in my case, was, what the hell happened? But then you get mad. Yeah. It's like, why were you doing what you were doing?
Or how the hell could that happen?
Right.
The train horn, could you hear the train?
It's happening more and more now. People are being distracted by technology, by phones, like you said, in their cars. They're walking with headphones on or walking with cell phones. And it's just this culture now that everybody is being distracted by everything.
Yeah.
And not paying attention.
And so oneearout.org is designed to raise awareness for this. To go ahead and explain the purpose of what is behind your organization.
Well, so we just tell people to kind of think about and teach their kids and then themselves think about what they're doing out there, what they're doing with their headphones, what they're doing with their cell phones even. But mostly we talk about headphones, and we talk about, we've done school talks, we've gone to the local train museum and then give out some brochures and do some talks. We've partnered up with some headphones that are like aftershocks that have bone conductive technology, so they actually vibrate through the bone before your ear, so your ear's open.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can still hear. So those are really cool. There's several different brands of those, but we've partnered with aftershocks. There's also companies like Nenrent that sell just one headphone, and it's just one earbud that's Bluetooth. So if you give it to a kid or somebody as a present, they only have one earbud in.
Oh, that's a great idea. There's
some alternative things for people to pay more attention when they're out.
And we were talking when you and I were discussing this yesterday, the fact that some of the new earbuds, they fit so well. I mean, because I'm always used to the old ones that never would stick in my ears, and I don't wear earbuds for the most part anyway because they never did stick in my ears. But the new ones, they fit so snugly and they have such great sound that a lot of times it will just block out everything else.
Yeah, Amanda was wearing noise-canceling headphones, so those are even worse. And even before she passed, we'd see her walking down the street somewhere close to home and tell her to please, take them off or take one out, even before she passed. And, she was 20 years old and moved out of her house for 10 days in her own apartment and then was killed on the way to work.
That's
so,
awful.
Yeah, it's a terrible situation every time it happens. And so far, I've counted through Google searches about 60 people in the last 7 years that have been killed by trains and headphones.
And you're right, that number has gone up dramatically because it wasn't that widespread an issue even just a few years ago. I don't know if that's because
like it's increasing more and more, and I'm reaching out more and more to families and to people all the time. It seems like now.
And I don't know whether that's because people are not walking on railroad tracks or not, or because people are wearing more snug-fitting headphones. I don't know.
Well, and it's the distraction of the technology too.
Right. Yeah, and then you've got social media. You got people, if you're wearing your headphones and you're looking down at your phone.
I've seen a lot of videos of people texting and falling into fountains and stuff like that, into holes. But it's the distraction of technology, and there's no doubt that Doc, when he listened to music, he listened to it very loudly. And when he had those full ear canal headphones in, I'm not even sure a train whistle could get through. I think you tested that theory, right?
And Mark, we went over to the site where it happened, and I stood with, I didn't have earbuds, but I had my phone, and I stuck my phone up to one ear with the speaker there, and put my finger in the other ear, and I had music playing. And even just doing it that way, I couldn't hear the train until it was right there on me. So
yeah, and it's we receive a lot of comments from people that don't understand about that blame the individual, and sure, it's on themselves for not tuning in or whatever, but it's become a real problem now, and we just try to get people to understand that it's just a mistake, it's a lapse in judgment or something, but.
We all make mistakes. We all have those lapses. What can people learn? What can they do when they go to oneearout.org?
I think we show examples of people that have been lost, and we call them our One Ear Out angels, and we tell people to tune into the environment. One of our hashtags is tune into life, and then just tune into life around you. And we all want to, Amanda loved her music. She was an incredible musician and artist, and she would tune out into her own world, but do it like in a safe place. If you're on the bus, sitting on the bus, maybe you want to tune out a little bit, or at home or something, but not when you're out walking around, not when you're driving, not when you're doing something other than just being somewhere in a safe place.
I had an auto shop teacher in high school, and to this day I remember it. 110 years later, his name was Frank Draves, and he used to say, when you eat, you sleep, you drive, whatever you're doing, focus on it. Don't be distracted. Don't be thinking about it. I mean, he would have, I think if he brought up multitasking to him then, he would have slapped me upside the head. But that's something that we forget to do. Because we are so driven to do so many things. We're distracted on top of all that, and we have so many things we have to accomplish that we get lost in the process of what we're doing, and we're not aware of our surroundings.
Yeah, it's. I think we all catch ourselves being distracted out there, and it's scary if you're driving and you're distracted for a second or two, and you kind of realize that a couple of seconds have gone by and you're not paying attention or something. So, even more so when you're listening to music and you've tuned out. Yeah,
and you're right. Especially when it happens when you're driving, it's freaky because you look up and you wonder how the hell you got where you are. And I think the real lesson here is be aware. If you're going to wear earbuds, and tell me again about the earbuds that you've partnered up with the company.
So one of them, well, the first one's Aftershocks, and they do a bone conductive, so kind of like what the military would use, like maybe the SEALs or something, where it vibrates through your ear, and it's I think it started out as military technology, I believe, bone conductive, but it vibrates through there. The other one they sell Nenrent. They sell just one earbud, so you can have one ear out. Just because you can only pair that one earbud with the Bluetooth. Right. And those are both ways that you can avoid having happen, or to at least take the chances way down. What happened to your daughter Amanda, and to our friend Doc. And it's a global problem too. We have a new chapter of One Ear Out that started up in New Zealand after their son passed away over there. So we're growing a little bit. It's me, and I'm actually her stepfather and her dad and my wife, and that's kind of it. But we just keep pushing forward and trying to, make a positive out of what happened to Amanda. Right. Well, and if you, now that you are familiar with MoJo 50, you'll know that we are merciless in our mocking of Doc and his dumbassery on this. And that's the way this audience heals. Because quite frankly, if you don't laugh, you cry. And I think no, I understand, and I'm trying to make a positive out of Amanda's passing, and it's hard, but it's good to kind of connect with other people and pass on message and stuff. Yeah, I understand. Well, and going forward, we will help you out in any way we can. Obviously, if you need any words put out there, you let me know. And
well, then I started to say, Brad, we would like to take up this cause. MoJo 50 would definitely take up this cause. Yeah. And we appreciate what you guys are doing out there. Yeah. We do. Mark, thank you. And I appreciate that, guys. And I also want to, I'm not sure if people, I know I hear about it once in a while from people too, is the train engineers and the train conductors that witness this happening, and they're frozen because they can't do anything when that person's in front of them on the tracks. And so kind of a shout out to them, because I feel bad for what they have to go through. Well, then I would guess there's a little PTSD involved there too. Of course. I've talked to quite a few that have witnessed these accidents, and it's life-changing. A lot of them end up quitting because they can't handle the PTSD from it. Right. Oh, I can imagine. I mean, because you are sitting on board a multi-ton piece of steel rocketing down the track. That doesn't stop even as quick as an automobile would. Not even close. And so you see the whole thing in real time, and I'm sure time slows down for them as well. So yeah, it is just, I would imagine, as traumatic for them, if not more so for those of us who weren't there when it happened. I mean, it's still traumatic for us, but it's for them. They were right there. They see the immediate results. We went over to the site and we saw, afterward, and it's still, it helped us have some closure, but that's a very good point. And the first responders too. Yes. I don't really want to know. I kind of read the report on Amanda, and I wouldn't want to see that. Right. Yeah. No, I totally understand. So, Mark, we'll put this, put the organization oneearout.org on our Facebook page. We'll tweet out a link to that as well, and we'll help get the word out there. And as I said, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram too. So there's excellent other ways for people to reach out to us too. Excellent. We will help promote you in any and all ways possible. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right. Mark Dedro from oneearout.org, promoting just awareness.
people are so distracted these days, and there's so much to be distracted by. We've got more going on in our lives than we ever have, and then you add things like this with the earbuds, and the results speak for themselves. So please show them a little love and share that as much as you possibly can around on social media. Some more of your tweets coming in here. One of the jackholes present should purchase and wear this to the service. Not a bad idea. Yeah. Oh, and he's also men's old train fashion silk ties, unique gift necklaces. I love the jackholes. I love them. Love them, love them. Illinois jackholes, I bought and used aftershocks when I ran the Chicago Marathon 2 years ago. Highly recommend them to be able to still hear your surroundings. Good. I am retweeting that one.
Is that a brand? Aftershocks?
Aftershocks. It's AF after and then SHOKZ. So I'll
Aftershocks. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, I'll find a link to that and tweet that out as well. Yeah, it's just one of those things that we need to spread the word. And again, if there could be some good that comes of this, that's what we would like. All right, so I'm going to play the other the rest of the bit that Doc was doing. We kind of had angry Doc here at the tail end after he had the fake organization, the fake new technology called Radio On technology, and this was some of the reaction from the listeners over at WMAL.
Some calls. Wayne, welcome to 630 WMAL.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to echo what the two previous callers were saying regarding this technology. I think it's a wonderful technology, and I remember experiencing some of that on the Autobahns in Germany.
Wayne,
it was.
Wayne, you probably missed that. That was all just a figment of my imagination. I was just scamming you, brother, to make a point about telemarketing.
Oh,
and
you were.
I apologize for the scam.
Oh, okay.
And let me just say, Wayne, that is not a good idea.
Right.
It's not a good idea for advertisers to have any more power than they already have.
I agree with that completely. But in Europe, the technology serves a wonderful function. You're driving down the road, and if there's a tornado coming, if you were in Kansas, or if there's a bad automobile accident ahead, and people are listening to a CD or a FM radio broadcast, and that station doesn't broadcast it, they can interrupt and let you know that there is a hazard ahead.
No, Wayne, that's a bad idea. But I appreciate the call, brother. Thank you very much. No, there's no reason, because technology like that always gets misused. People always find a way to use it for people like advertisers. Ward, welcome to 630 WMAL.
Well, I was just going to echo what this other fellow said. The technology actually exists. It's called radio data systems. And a lot of U.S. broadcasters have it partially enabled.
One of the things they're doing with satellite radio is you have a little control screen where they can print out little messages in that. But
actually,
that's not a good idea.
With FM too, I have it in my car.
Where you can push in a type of format you want, and it'll dial that up. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
It also gets messages, like if radio station wants to tell me that they're having a concert at a certain time or something, it displays that. This was tested about 15 years ago here in the U.S. One of the, let's just call it suburban broadcasters, played with the radio data system, and they hung up the phone wrong. They were using to control it, and they turned on everybody's BMW radio in their cars, in their BMWs. So all of a sudden, the BMW service departments are loaded with cars with radios that can't be turned off.
Yeah.
And they can't even adjust the volume. The volume is set high, and there's no way to turn it off. There's no way to turn it down. But they get the message. But it wasn't just for the message. It just stayed on. But on to the real subject, which is the do not call list. Not only are there all these holes in it, but a lot of telemarketing calls now come from Canada, Pakistan, and India.
Oh, I'm going to get into that.
And they're not covered under U.S. law. They're covered under international law. And
so they could continue to call you. In fact, thanks for the call, Ward. I appreciate it. In fact, I got a call just a couple of weeks ago, knowing that I signed up for this do not call list and was curious about it. So I went through my whole rigmarole that I'll explain to you in a couple of minutes, how I deal with my telemarketers, and ended up speaking with one of the supervisors, and I noticed he said a boot instead of a bout, which is the dialect from Canada. And I go, where are you calling from? He goes, Montreal. You go, oh, okay, so your telemarketing company's in Canada. Yeah, that's right. So it's not covered under the do not call list. No, it's not covered. Take some more of your calls, tell you how to deal with the telemarketers, and get some revenge next on 630 WMAL.
See, even back then, he was irritated with all things that interfered with liberty and freedom. If you share the same viewpoint, and I know you do, patriotmobile.com/doc. Technology can be good. It can be bad. When it's obviously, when it's pointed in the right direction, it can be a benefit to society. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, and especially with big mobile, what you have are companies that end up spending a great deal of their money promoting progressive causes, promoting things like Planned Parenthood, and other things that don't probably line up with your particular values. That is what Patriot Mobile is all about. When you use a phone, the most important thing to you, most likely, if you're like me, is you pick it up and you go to hit call, and it works, and you can hear the other person, and you can get online with it, and you can use it for Google Maps, and you can find you with GPS, the whole 9 yards. If it does that, I'm happy. If it's fast, I'm happy. So what's the difference between the phone that you would have from like AT&T and the phone service that you would have from Patriot Mobile? Well, the difference is that while you are enjoying all the features that you need, the money that you spend each month on the service, a portion of that actually goes to conservative and libertarian causes, the NRA. Texans for Freedom, I think is the name of it. It's all listed on their website. If you go to patriotmobile.com/doc, that's where you'll find a list of the causes that Patriot Mobile gives to. And again, a portion of your cell phone bill each month goes to fund them, as opposed to the causes that don't align with your values, with your morals. And in the end, if the phone that you're holding in your hand is doing its job, is giving you crystal clear reception, isn't it nice to know that it's actually going that one step farther and actually doing some good in the world? And you can keep your existing phone, you can keep your existing number, or you can get a new phone, get a new number. And in a lot of cases, they'll pay off your existing contract. It's all, the details are all at patriotmobile.com/doc. You can go there right now and take a look. It's something good you can do for yourself and for the country. patriotmobile.com/doc. Your Daily Mojo continues in just a second.
Followed by the Numbers with Andrew Coppins is powered by TarRiverArms.com. They've revolutionized online firearm sales with high-resolution pictures, 3D imaging, and the best prices. How much will you save? Find out at TarRiverArms.com. That's TarRiverArms.com.
Following the fallout of the so-called Green New Deal's unveiling late last week, we've seen a new defense of their support from multiple Democratic presidential candidates. And it goes something like this. If we could land a man on the moon, then we can do this. It's an interesting comparison, but there's just one small problem. That dream of going to the moon came with a price tag that didn't bankrupt our country. The dream of the Green New Deal would, and let's get into the math. Let's start with this whole going to the moon thing. The entire Apollo program cost $25.4 billion back in 1973 money. In today's money, that's about $152 billion. Now let's consider Trump's budget proposal for 2019 came in at an estimated $4.4 trillion. That means going to the moon cost just over 3.5% of the budget. The percentage of budget in 1973 was 10.3%, again, for the entire program's history. What does this new program cost? According to PhD economist Noah Smith, it would be $6.6 trillion a year, and that's just the doable math. Not in 10 years, that's $6.6 trillion every single year for a decade. You see the problem there? $6.6 trillion is more than the entire budget of the U.S. government. But what really matters is what the government can take in tax revenue. That brings us to the biggest issue at hand. The U.S. government took in just $3.3 trillion in revenue last year. Yes, that's right. If you're doing the math at home, the government has to find a way to double its revenue intake just to pay for 1 year of this insane dream. Then there's the hidden long-term cost of everything. As I mentioned late last week, we're still paying for the original New Deal, and that's got us $50 trillion in debt. Based on the initial math alone, there's just no way this doesn't take our society from superpower to super poor. This has been By the Numbers. I'm Andrew Coppins, and you can follow me on Twitter at The Coppins Show.
The Daily Mojo.
As always, get your tweets and your comments in. Thank you over on Facebook. Jules Z shared. I'm assuming that is the link we just shared to oneearout.org. Let's see, warning. Warning. The track you're jogging on was meant for the 80,000-ton train that's coming right at you. Please give the right of way. Yeah, absolutely. And as Mark was saying, for whatever reason, the number keeps going up. People versus train. And I guess it would because that's why they get the billboards out in front here. And apparently a lot of cars seem to want to tangle with trains. So it's very apparently we do need to spread the word more often. People end up getting in their own heads and not seeing what's going on around them. Well, look who just popped in the studio. One Matt Locke, host of the Conservative Cartel, coming up immediately following this broadcast. What have you dug up for today?
APR coffee. Oh, sorry.
That works too. Actually, you know what? That's good. A shout out to APR because I haven't done that today.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got the Cartel Smooth.
Do you?
And that is not any kind of innuendo.
I haven't because who would make the coffee here, and so I just
the funny thing is, Brad, you get in here before I do, of course, and do your show. But Scott across the way the other day, he says, "Hey, are we not making coffee anymore?"
See.
The whole place went to hell without Doc here.
I know. And these are the stupid little things that throughout the day you realize, and that brings everything rushing back in, and it's like,
So I told him, I said, okay, so I get in here right around 8 o'clock Central because my show comes up at 10, 11 o'clock Eastern. So I told him, I said, I'll make the coffee. So I made the coffee. Little Cartel Smooth.
Good.
It's good too. What do I have coming up? New Green Deal.
Are you?
California is doing it now.
They are doing their own version?
Their own version. They're going to lead the way, even though the folks there say, if we do the New Green Deal, California won't have power.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Well,
there's that.
You can go back to bathing in the stream.
Are they going to rebuild all of their buildings? That was in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's New Green Deal.
And isn't that amazing that I find it
all the buildings.
I find it really odd that the Democrat Party says there's not enough money for the wall,
right?
But we can rebuild every building in the country in 10 years.
Yeah, not only that, but we're going to eliminate basically the internal combustion engine.
Yes. And airplanes.
And we're going
to build high-speed rail. That's going to make Doc happy.
Yeah.
All over the country. Let's put high-speed rail in.
And it's going to eliminate the need for air travel. We can just take all of the airplanes and throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little difficult getting across to other continents, but...
Boats. Well, but what do boats run on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, how do you... It is like the Democratic Party is really trying to destroy America.
And it's in such idiotic ways that when called out on it, who was the her assistant out of her office? Swore up and down
that they didn't do it.
That's not on her.
Brandon talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, we didn't do it. We got hacked.
Shut up. It was the people. The guaranteed income for those who are unable or unwilling to work. When I first read that, and I thought surely that has to be a typo.
No,
that can't possibly be what they mean. If you're unable or I understand unable. If you are unwilling to work, I read that 3 or 4 times and thought that can't be right, but that's what they believe.
Brad Staggs, I'm telling you, about 8 years ago, I read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. And if you haven't read that book, it is a microcosm of what is currently happening in our politics today. It is crazy. Because you and I both know, if we're going to start giving money to people who are unwilling to work, people who work to give that money to the people who are unwilling to work are going to stop working.
Yeah.
It's just, why would you work to give the fruits of your labors to somebody else? It'd be like us taking MoJo 50 and giving all of our profit to NPR.
What profit?
Well, what little there is.
We have profit?
Yeah, little bit.
Okay.
But, we would give everything we make to NPR.
Yes, it would make absolutely
Why would we
sense.
even do a radio station? Why would we do that? We want to make money. We want to be capitalists. We've got bills to pay and, food to buy and all that stuff, too. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Trump was in El Paso. We're going to talk about that.
Heard about that.
Him and the Francis back and forth. Did you know that Trump has a bigger stick
Francis. I heard the rumors.
That's what I've heard too.
I heard him throwing out some numbers too that may or may not have been accurate as far as attendance at both events. I mean, that's the funny thing.
Hey,
he doesn't
go
have
big
to,
or go home.
He doesn't. Those are the things he throws out there that maybe aren't necessary to throw out there. It just gives
it's fodder.
The other side.
And he pokes.
Yeah.
But the one thing that Donald Trump does is pokes.
Oh, he's a great troller.
High level trolling.
Yeah.
All the Democratic ladies coming out to run for president. I mean, Amy Klobuchar, all the stuff he did yesterday. By the way, so I've been thinking about this, and Doc and I were trying to throw this together before everything happened.
Yeah.
Project Ocasio-Cortez is full steam ahead, by the way. It's still on the tracks, my friends.
Excellent.
I will be taking care of that, but we are watching the left beg for socialism in AOC. And we're going to get her on that stage. And then on top of all that, we actually might have some kind of compromise on the wall. That just came out about 10 minutes ago.
It's a barrier. It's a barrier.
Yeah,
remember that. It could be
yin, yang, potato, potato.
And that's the stupidity of Washington, the fact that you have to it's a wall.
Yeah.
But they can't call it a wall. It has to be a barrier.
Steel erection barrier. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And those are the stupid games that we're playing up there. The politicians are playing. That's what really pisses everybody off.
But it is. It's a game. It's a game, and I'm a salesman by trade, and compromise is a back and forth deal. And everybody's all butthurt this morning because 1.3 billion is the number. Trump was at 5.7. Right. It's going to come somewhere in the middle.
Yes, it is.
It just is.
And this is for like 55 miles.
We're arguing about 55 effing miles of wall or barrier or steel erection sets or whatever the hell they're talking about today. It just goes to show you these people are in it for themselves. They're not there for you.
Absolutely.
Me, but anyway.
Which is why our friend Matt Whitworth and his show, The Swamp, he had it on Facebook there for a while, and I think it's moving to a larger platform. But it's all about that. It's all about draining the swamp, and it's about the inner workings of government. If you have a chance to see that, watch it. The Swamp.
Okay.
Very good. So, by the way, any RGB sightings?
Nothing. I Google RPG every day just to see if there's any new stuff. Now, my theory is here, the Supreme Court is kind of on a little hiatus. They took about 3 weeks off, so it's kind of been advantageous to her. The court reconvenes February 19th, which is Monday, which is coming up, next Monday, I believe, or it's today, a week from today. What's today, the 12th? Yeah, a week from today, it's going to reconvene. And every article I've read in November, December, and January, because she's been out of the public eye for like 80-some days.
Well, except for the one sighting at the theater, the premiere for her daughter's
the notorious RBG and song.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what was funny about that? Because nobody got a picture.
No, she was sitting in the back.
But here's the thing. There was no picture taking allowed. You're talking about the funeral and not taking pictures of the kids, which I think is completely appropriate. But I'm telling you, nobody on the street of that thing, no paparazzi. I mean, people are everywhere snapping pictures. No one snapped a picture of her. That's news.
It's like Bigfoot.
I know.
Yeah.
Ask Ron about, is he pooping? Ron's a Sasquatch hunter. Listen.
So many pieces of the puzzle are falling in.
When I first came down here, Ron allowed me to stay in his home. We were starting the cartel. We were coming down here, and on his truck was a Sasquatch bumper sticker. He was a Sasquatch hunter. He's back from pooping. He's now back from pooping. Sasquatch hunter in there?
Was somebody looking for me?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
I wasn't pooping. I might have been in the bathroom.
We were comparing Bigfoot sightings to RGB sightings.
Oh, yeah. There's probably more Bigfoot sightings right now.
Yeah. Well, I was telling them about your obsession with Sasquatches.
I'm a Sasquatchian.
Yes, he is.
How did you get started in that?
I don't know. I can tell you how I got interested
in it. He was pooping in the woods.
No, when I was 6 years old, my mom took me into this theater in town to watch the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek.
I remember that. I remember that movie.
I remember sitting in the floor of the theater screaming because everybody else was screaming, and so I've always had a fascination with Bigfoot. Never seen one. Never even really
Nobody
been on
else
a hunt.
has either, so it's all right. And I haven't seen RB. We were just talking about RBG. You know, no one has. I think it's going on somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 or 80 days. No
there are
one's
people
seen
that
her.
claim they've seen her, but there's no pictures.
Well, but and that's why I was telling Brad at this notorious RBG in song. I know.
It is stunning.
There was
RBG.
no photos allowed. Now, when's the last time you heard the press follow the rules? And where's the paparazzi sitting on the street with their, their zoom lenses looking for, because everybody's talking about it. Don't you think the Democratic Party would want to come out there and say, nah, I showed you, she's really alive?
Absolutely, yeah. If there's evidence, you'd think, but it's like the Kavanaugh trials. If there's evidence, it's like the Jussie Smollett thing. If there's evidence, wouldn't you be saying, look, it's right here. She's alive. She's here. She's out.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that's not happening.
So Doc had a theory about this, and we were talking about it one day, and he says, Matt, I think the Democrats are keeping this proof in their back pocket so they can come out later and say, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, Doc, that's not the way the Democratic Party normally works. If they've got something, they're going to beat you with it.
But they did that with Obama's birth certificate. I think they sat on that a lot longer than they kept it hidden a lot longer than we knew.
There's so many. I was having a conversation the other day, and I'm a big conspiracy theorist guy. But when does it stop being theory, when you can back it up with facts? When you start putting puzzle pieces together over a period of time, is it now a theory? Or is it, where conspiracy theory came from, right?
Tell me.
JFK.
Oh, well, yes.
The assassination of JFK. The FBI came up with the term conspiracy theory because of the Warren Report.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Because they wanted to distract people from what actually happened. And there's all kinds of theories that float around JFK and his assassination and the Fed and Lee Harvey Oswald and the Russians and all this stuff. I mean, I'm a huge history buff. And the FBI...
but you're getting smaller thanks to Riduzone.
I am getting small. I'm telling you, 12 pounds. I was telling that to Patrick this morning. It's a good deal. I should start trying to lose more and not drink like a fish. And
it's okay.
It's all right. Next week.
We'll start that next week.
But
as you were saying.
No, I mean, we're at a point where I want you to think about this, because there was a significant case down in Louisiana about abortion. And what they did is they put out a temporary injunction down in Louisiana, because Louisiana wrote a law that said if you're going to get an abortion, the abortion doctor needs to have admitting privileges to a hospital, because the left tells you it's women's health. We want to. It's women's health. The woman's health will be in jeopardy. She has to have that abortion. Wouldn't the left want the woman to be safe, and if something goes wrong, to be able to go in the hospital, and that's women's health, right? Wrong.
You'd think so.
The crazy thing about all of that, the Supreme Court voted 5-4. Ruth Bader Ginsburg voted in that deal. Where was she?
Yeah.
How do you vote? How do you give a ruling when you're not on the bench?
It's
you and I, by the way, my brother.
Mystery of the universe.
You've been in court. You have ex-wives.
Oh, yes.
I've been in court. I've met a lot of asshole judges.
They're out there.
And they're out there, and they got the big power hungry. Their little, mine is a country judge who gets reelected, who, is a power hungry prick. And thinks he...
And there's a bad side, too.
Thinks he rules the world. But he's in your court case. You're not giving your case in front of a judge that is not there. He's not going on video evidence. He's not going on briefs. He's not going on transcripts. He's sitting there listening to you. How do you make a ruling if you're not listening to the argument?
That is, again, that's one of the mysteries of the universe. And if there's anyone who can get to the bottom of this, it is you, Matlock.
I will try. I'm not the smartest guy, but I'll give it the good college try.
Well, the cartel's coming up here with 15 minutes from now.
Yes. So. Stay tuned. It will be fascinating. I hope.
All right. It'll be just grand. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Update on the GoFundMe account for Doc. This is phenomenal. $134,109.
Keeps growing. I love that.
Our goal was 20.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much this is helping Una and the kids. No idea.
Well, and look, not just the money, Brad, but the the fact that that thing has grown 6 times past the goal,
it speaks volumes.
It speaks volumes. And you know, we created that goal, guys, early in the morning on the morning after the night we found out that Doc had passed, and we didn't know what to put. Honest to goodness, we started it and we said, look, you know, maybe $10,000-$15,000 for the funeral and a couple of thousand to help the family get on by. So let's put 20 and let's go with it. And we were in a rush, so we did it. That thing blew past $20,000 in the first hour.
Yeah, it did.
Beautiful.
It really did. And I'm going to tell you that as time progresses, more and more, I'm just going to say the illumination will illuminate the path. I'm trying to.
How you doing this here?
Let's just say don't go anywhere because it will be interesting. The truth always comes out. That's the truth always comes out. That's all and I think we all know that.
And that doesn't have anything to do with Doc's accident.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's a Florida teacher who was fired not for having sex with a student this time. No.
Uh-oh.
No, something far worse than having sex with one of her students.
She gave him a B.
This teacher gave students zeros who didn't turn in their work.
What?
They fired her. Yeah, she's been fired for giving students zeros for missing assignments. Diane Tirado has been a teacher in, Florida for years. She was an 8th grade history teacher at Westgate School in Port St. Lucie, Florida. She gave her students 2 weeks to complete an Explorer notebook project, but several students...
They just didn't do it.
We're not going to do it. We got other things to do. We're not going to do it. And what I say, eighth grade? Let's see. It doesn't say which grade. So zero work done. She gave them zeros. They fired her for that. The elementary school there in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and let me say the name again. It is Westgate K through 8 school there. They have a rule called the no zero policy. The lowest possible grade a teacher can give a student is a 50, even if they turn nothing in.
Really?
50. You cannot get a 0. You cannot be properly graded on the effort that you put into a project. You can throw caution to the wind. You can decide you're going to do anything else.
And people wonder why kids are assholes these days.
It's a rule that Diane did not agree with. She was fired for disobeying that rule.
I would have proudly accepted that termination, and I would have gone straight to the damn TV station.
She wrote a letter on the whiteboard there in the room. She says, "Bye, kids. Miss Tirado loves you and wishes you the best in life. I have been fired for refusing you to give you a 50% for not having turned anything in. Love, Mrs. Tirado."
Then I would have picked up the phone and called MoJo 50.
Absolutely, and we should get a hold of her. You know what? I'm going to have my producer. I'm going to have my producer reach out to them, or one of my interns, or possibly my assistant. Reach out to her.
What time are you calling her?
Every day, and these are the decisions I have to make. Every day, I have to decide who's going to put things together today. If I got to have a producer A, producer B, one of several interns, or 3 of my assistants, and that really, after a while, gets to be very stressful. Simply deciding who gets the assignments. But at some point, I'll have one of them reach out to her and see if we can get her on the program.
Oh, that would be a great call.
Her post has gone viral on Facebook. Commenters agree with her position. It's not fair to hand out grades for work that doesn't exist. She says, "The reason I took on this fight was because it was ridiculous. Teaching shouldn't be this hard." Another teacher, Lyndon Dorval, successfully won a court case against a school who fired her for giving out zeros in 2012.
It's on. She's either going to get paid or she's going to get her job back and then tell them to kiss her ass.
What is wrong with...
Brad, that's what's wrong with the society. The younger generation today, they either want something for free, or, as you were talking about AOC a while ago.
Yes, her.
Yeah, and for people who are unwilling to do the job,
unwilling to work.
Unable, I get. You get struck by a train, you're in the hospital, and you can't do your homework. Got that. But unwilling.
And that's
your
what
ass
these
gets
are.
a 0 and a kick in the ass.
That's what we are raising
Bunch of
those people.
idiots.
These are the kids that we are raising who will become the people who decide they are unwilling to work. And honestly, why should they? Why should they?
Nobody's going to force them to.
If they can get, what is
The
it, 50
government's
is
going to.
C?
Yep. Oh, no, 50 is an F.
Is it?
Yeah. 60 is a D. 50.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 70 is a C.
That's old math. That is old grade. Are you sure that
look.
a 50? Are you telling me that she can give a 50? That they can give these
failed
kids
a class,
an F?
But look, when you average a 50 with several 80s, then it brings the average down. But if you put a 0 in there, it brings it down even further. So that's the thing. They didn't want it to bring the average of their grades down any further than what a 50 would be. Of course it is.
This goes back to money. This goes back to federal funding for schools. This goes back to everything that is wrong with the system. I don't want to turn into Angry Doc. This is why I like it over there, that chair.
This is an Angry Doc kind of thing.
This is
the
absolutely
stupidest damn thing I've ever heard.
This is insanity. This is. Remember when I asked Dan Andros when he was on earlier about where we're headed from here? It's like, I don't know, but I sure wouldn't want to stand outside in a lightning storm these days, because I have a sneaky feeling that the big guy up above is he might be just about done with this experiment, and all I can hope for is to be really, really close to either the bomb, the volcano, or whatever other means by which we're taken out, because we're not headed down a good path. This is crazy. This is the stuff that
no effort should get no results.
Exactly.
That's a 0, folks.
That's the way
no
life
effort
works.
should get no results.
But then they're trying to change the rule, like with this Green New Deal. They're trying to change the rules in life when you grow up, when you have to get up every day and go to work. They're trying to change the rules to mimic what they've learned as kids. That, okay, well, if we couldn't fail as kids, then we certainly can't fail as adults. So we'll just make it impossible to fail. The problem there is life has a way of kicking you right in the balls. And it'll do it repeatedly and over and over and over. And you better either get back up or you're going to end up right there on the ground for the rest of the time.
And I pray that there are enough people in society to kick all of those people right in the nuts. I mean, literally, give them a taste of what life is like. They're going to get out. They're going to, well, maybe they won't leave their parents' homes. It depends on the parents, I guess. But they leave their homes. What's going to happen? I'm telling you, life's going to slap them in the face. And then they're going to go, oh, well, it's because you got a 0, or, you didn't get a 0, you got a 50. All these people have to, when in the real world, they have to compete for jobs. And a lot of them, their GPAs are looked at. Right. Are you telling me that an 8th grader can't get a 0? What's next? High schoolers can't get 0s? Yeah. What's next? In college, you just pass?
And then we've raised a nation full of idiots.
Exactly.
We have raised people who don't know how to do anything. We're already there in regards to people who don't know how to do things with their hands. What do I do with my hands? But the fact that they don't teach auto shop in school anymore. They don't teach metal. They don't teach woodworking. Not that I'm aware of. I'm not even sure they teach driver's ed anymore. There's another one. People aren't learning, and kids in particular aren't learning how to do
shop.
things.
We had shop class.
Yes.
When I was in high school.
I still have the B out of birch wood that I made when I was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
I've been making stuff ever since. And the real shame of it is that these are kids, and hopefully we can turn this tide, but when you make something, there is a satisfaction that comes along with that. It's being able to look at what you've created, look at what you've done, look at what you've made, and have a sense of satisfaction and have a sense of accomplishment.
Right.
And that's an important feeling. It's an important emotion. It's an important thing to internalize, because if you don't get that, you end up trying to get it from other things. You get it from the high score in Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
You get it.
That's right.
Human beings are always going to try to find that inner fuzzy, that warm feeling, that sense of accomplishment, that I want to win.
Do you remember the movie Bruce Willis was in called Surrogates?
No, I never saw that.
It's a fantastic movie, because all these people are laying in beds at their houses, and they put these little things on their heads, and then that surrogate, which is just a latex doll, basically.
Goes out and lives
goes
for
out
them?
and lives for
And
them
they're
and
sitting
does their
there-
job every day.
So-
and they're sitting at home doing jack.
So they've become, as I always refer to it, as the big glowing balls of energy in Star Trek.
That's
Those big
exactly
round
what it
balls,
is. Yep.
And just
They don't do anything but sit there.
Yeah, that's what we're going to end up being. Just big glowing white balls sitting on our glowing white ball asses.
Yep.
And doing nothing.
There was an animated movie not too long ago that had that in it. I don't remember what it was, but
that's where we're headed if we don't make a course correction at some point. And then you remember the toxic, the obsolete man skills. Yesterday we talked about everything.
Oh, yeah.
Hunting and fixing things and all of that. And I think that, boy, I hope that was satire. It sure sounded satirical.
Oh, no, that was all the toxic masculinity people throwing crap out there is what that was.
The new alpha male is going to be wearing a colorful apron decorated with daisies and have really nicely manicured fingernails and soft hands.
No.
That will never be the alpha male. They will always get their ass
for the
kicked.
love of God, I hope every alpha male out there right now goes, yeah, no, that's not happening. No government, nobody is going to tell me that I'm wearing freaking fingernail polish. What the hell?
Although I tell you, in a nice shade of beige, my fingers do really pop that way.
Okay, I'm out.
You got to learn, people. We got to learn how to teach our kids how to do things, how to make stuff, how to survive, literally how to be viable in society.
Survive is a good word.
And that again,
there are some wolves out there.
In the Green New Deal, there's a line about referring back to World War II and how factories came together and we made tanks and we made airplanes and we made guns. Do you know why that is? Because we had factories in this country who had the capability to do these things, and the people who were able to do them because they'd learned how to make stuff.
I want to go back to the Rosie the Riveter days. You remember her with the picture that, look, I like a strong woman like that, but I'm going to tell you this. Here's the thing.
With small but strong hands.
There you go. No bell. All right, gotcha. No,
Sorry, I was
actually,
caught my own thoughts.
Look, they did that. Why? Because their spouses were out fighting for this country.
Yes.
Because that's what the spouse did at the time. Here's the thing. We don't have that in our country
No,
anymore.
we don't.
We have freaking wusses sitting on school boards in Florida going, we can't hurt their feelings and give them a zero.
If you want 2 + 2 to be
Seriously.
7, that's okay. You can do that. You just sit right over there. I'll get you a Twinkie. It's a dangerous path.
It is a very dangerous path.
What the hell set me off on this thing anyway?
Probably me. Sorry.
How did I get down this path? I was doing fine up until right now. And now I'm just pissed off. Okay. Bob blah blah over on Twitter. Thank you. Brad should start a public education drive to bring back shop class in school again. #ToolSchool. I see you've seen our website. We're working on that, by the way. We're going to bring that back into the fold in some way, shape, or form.
Cool.
Toolschool.com with a K because we went to public schools.
Brad, I want to say something before we get out of here.
Oh, we have to leave? Damn it.
Yeah, everybody at about 3:45 today, just take a minute.
Damn, it's been a week.
Yep, today.
It has been 1 week.
At 3:45, which is the time we were given, please just take a moment. Think about Doc. Say a little prayer. And let's move on.
I was thinking this morning, I miss my friend.
I miss him too, buddy.
Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Damn it, I was good right up until that point. This is still Doc Thompson's Daily Mojo.
This is the seditious, rabble-rousing, liberty-loving, home of fun, entertaining, and compelling talk. MoJo 50.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump is criticizing freshman Democratic Congress